The General Motors Hour was an Australian radio and television drama series. The radio series was a regular one-hour drama broadcast over the Macquarie Radio Network at 8 p.m. on Thursdays. It is believed to have commenced in the late 1940s and lasted into the early 1960s. Producers included Robert Peach and Harry Dirth. The announcer was John Deese.
The General Motors Hour. General Motors Holdens, through the Macquarie Network and cooperating stations in all states, present Young Timothy, starring Diana Perryman and Nigel Lovell. This is John Deese introducing our play. The newly created knight, Sir Richard Patterson, seemed to have most things to make him happy. A successful business, a decorative, even if not an affectionate wife, Diana, and an only son, Timothy. All his success would be handed on to Timothy, so thought Sir Richard, until Timothy himself took a desperate hand in affairs. In this moving drama, we star Nigel Lovell as Sir Richard Patterson and Diana Perryman as his wife. The play will be produced by Harry Harper. Ladies and gentlemen, Act One of the General Motors Hour production of Young Timothy.
Millie, dear, do have another brandy.
Oh, no thanks, Di. Had enough. Thought I was through with the reception. Can't understand how I've managed to carry on right into your own home.
You manage very nicely at all times.
Thanks. Oh, here comes Richard.
Come on, Henry. Let's get that drink.
Oh, coming, Dick. I say, you two have settled in, haven't you?
You're slow, Henry. We beat you back by 5 minutes.
Richard, fix Henry a drink, dear.
Yes, of course.
I say, Di, bad luck about Timothy not being able to come tonight.
That stomach bug he picked up in Spain. Given him the devil ever since. Here's yours, Henry.
Oh, thanks, man.
How old's Timothy now?
18.
Nice boy. Oh, I wish my son were more like him. Roger's always so dirty.
Well, he's learning his job in the right way, Millie, in the workshops. Roger's got a great future in front of him. Wonderful technical brain.
I don't see any point in spending all that money and sending him to university for him to come back and be dirty all the time.
Well, that's the way it's going to be with Timothy. University in October, and then start at the bottom, the same as we all do.
May I cut in, Dickie, old man? I have something to say.
Oh, Henry, dear, you're not going to make another speech.
If you please, Millie. Now, the ordinary man reading his newspaper will have read the name of Richard Patterson in the birthday honors. And they may well say, who's he that he deserves to be honored by our beloved Queen? But they should be grateful that he and his like live and breathe. I propose a toast.
You can't, dear. I feel sick.
Millie, you don't.
Yes, Di, I do. I must go home.
Oh, dear, just when we were going to have a lovely party all by ourselves.
Henry, I want to go home.
Yes, dear.
Can I help?
No, thanks. I know how to look after her. Good night.
Good night, Henry. Millie should never touch the stuff at all.
It has been rather a mixture tonight. Were you expecting it?
What?
The knighthood, of course.
Yes, Diana, I was expecting it.
You never told me.
You weren't here.
No, I wasn't, was I?
Are you pleased about it?
Are you?
Yes. When are you going back to France?
Oh, in about a week if I can get a plane. It's a pity to waste the flat.
It costs me enough.
Prestige can be a very expensive luxury.
I've no complaints.
I think I'll go upstairs. I'm tired.
I must say I'm annoyed about Timothy. I think he might have put on a show and put in an appearance tonight. Harry could come all the way up from London, but Timothy couldn't even cure himself of a stomachache.
Quite agree, Richard. It was embarrassing. Everybody, simply everybody being
It
there.
was humiliating.
Well, he's your son.
And yours.
Yes, so he is.
I'll discuss it with him in the morning. You'd better have a more reasonable excuse than a stomachache.
Morning, Mrs. Davenport.
Morning, Connie. Haven't had time.
Oh, it says here, civic reception to honour city's new knight. My Arthur doesn't agree with it.
And why?
He says he doesn't think it's right. He should pay rates to feed the likes of him upstairs.
One's got to take your Arthur with a pinch of salt.
He's got principles as my Arthur, and naming no names, that's something some people I know could do with. What's the tray for?
Timothy. Thought I'd let him have an extra half hour. Not being used to late nights like the others.
Oh. Are they up yet?
Yes, they're on the move.
Have you seen her yet to speak to?
Saw her last night.
Did she say anything?
What did she have to say?
If they enjoyed themselves at the reception.
She said they'd had a good time. Oh, there's a bell indicator. Who is it?
Front door. Who can it be at this time of the morning? Do you want me to take the tray up?
No, you see who that is. Any letters for Timothy?
Are there ever? Oh, Lord, there go them bells again. Who is it this time? Oh, it's her.
Don't forget the front door.
I can't be in two places at once. All right, my lady, you'll just have to wait. The front door comes first as far as I'm concerned. You can ring that thing off the blooming wall. Very sorry to keep you waiting, my lady, but just before you rang, the front door rang. A gentleman come to see Sir Richard.
Connie.
Yes, my lady.
Oh, please don't call me my lady. It's so on me.
I wouldn't say that, ma'am. Oh, some letters for you, ma'am.
Oh, yes, thank you. I was ringing for the mail. Who did you say came to see my husband?
A gentleman, ma'am. Probably somebody from the works. Is there anything in the papers? The London papers, I mean. The local's very nice.
I'm afraid they've ignored us.
Oh, what a shame.
Yes, it is rather. The publicity is good for business. Well, not that I know much about it when I'm away so much.
Ah, yes, ma'am. It must be nice down in France, ma'am.
One shouldn't have to live anywhere else.
I'm afraid I shall never be able to get there.
Of course, you've 2 children, haven't you?
Yes, ma'am. That's why I come out to work. My husband does quite nicely, but we'd like them to have a bit more than we had at their age.
They must love you very much.
Yes, ma'am. I think they do.
Excuse me, my lady. What is it, Mrs. Davenport? I'd like to speak to you privately, my lady.
I'm off anyway. I'll bring up your coffee and fruit, ma'am.
Oh, thanks, Connie. Now, Mrs. Davenport, what is it you want? It's Mr. Timothy, ma'am. Timothy? His bed's not been slept in. Oh, I see. Well, he might have told someone he was going to stay out all night. He must have come home and gone out again, because his dinner suit's all a heap on the bed, as if he'd taken it off in a hurry. What did he change into? His old flannels and sports coat. Oh, I don't like to say it, ma'am, but don't you think there could have been an accident? I mean, it's not like Mr. Timothy. Oh, but the hospitals or somebody would have let us know by now. Now, look, don't look so worried. He's not a child. He's 18. He could have gone anywhere. But he should have rung by now, Mum. It's after 10. He must have stayed the night with some of his friends. Has he a telephone book or something? Oh, yes, Mum. He's got one in his room. Well, bring it in here, will you? And let's see if we can find him. Yes, Mum. Hello? Miss Proctor, please. No, I can't hold on. Can you interrupt her call, please? I'm sorry, but this is important. This is Lady Patterson speaking. Oh, Miss Proctor, look, I'm really terribly sorry to be so impatient, but have you seen my husband this morning? Will you see if you can find him and ask him to ring me back? I hope not, Miss Proctor, but I am rather worried. Goodbye.
Here's your coffee and fruit, ma'am.
Oh, just put them down there, Connie.
Yes, ma'am.
Connie, about the gentleman who came to see my husband this morning, did you open the door to him?
Yes, ma'am.
Who did he ask for exactly?
Why, Sir Richard.
Are you sure he just said that? Sir Richard, not Sir Richard Patterson?
Oh, well...
Well, now, Connie, everybody at the works calls Sir Richard Sir Richard. Nobody thinks of calling him Sir Richard Patterson. Now, if anybody called from the works, they would simply ask for Sir Richard.
Oh, this gentleman asked for Sir Richard Patterson.
Thank you, Connie. Oh. Hello? Yes, Miss Proctor. Hold on, please. Connie,
Yes, ma'am.
have a look and see which car Sir Richard took, will you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Miss Proctor. Are you sure? Are you sure nobody's seen him?
Ma'am,
Just a moment, Miss Proctor. Yes, Connie.
I could see from the windows there, ma'am. Both the garages are still locked.
Oh, thank you, that's all.
Very good, ma'am.
Miss Proctor, Sir Richard has taken neither of the cars. Now, can you phone through and find out if one of the works cars came up here? Thank you.
Ma'am,
Yes, Mrs. Davenport.
found an address book and a telephone book.
Thank you. Really, this is too silly. If there'd been an accident, Sir Richard would have told me at once. Doesn't seem to be very popular. Peter who? I don't know any Peter. Market 5167.
I know whose that number is, ma'am.
You do?
It's a nephew of mine. He's my sister's boy. He came one day and they met. Mr. Timothy and he sort of chummed up. He never called it a house, not proper, if you know what I mean. That I wouldn't allow. Oh, I told them it was all wrong, them being friends. But they told me I was old-fashioned, Victorian. Well, I suppose I am.
Where can I speak to him? At this number?
Yes, ma'am. It's where he works. They're not on the phone at home. Oh, you won't be angry with him, will you, ma'am?
Now, why should I be angry with a friend of Timothy's?
He's a bit wild in some of his ideas. Nice enough lad, but... Oh, he's young.
Oh, who do I ask for?
Mr. Gilman. Don't be angry with him.
Oh, I'm sorry to trouble you, but can I speak to Mr. Gilman? Good morning. This is Lady Patterson. I believe you've been friendly with my son. I didn't say there was anything wrong in it. Your aunt and I have been friends for 20 years. If you and Timothy can do as well, you'd have reason to be proud of yourselves. Now, if you could just tell me if you saw Timothy last night. Thank you. That's all I want to know. He's not a very blissful young man, is he?
He is a little difficult, ma'am.
He says he's not seen Timothy for a day or two. Oh. Hello? Oh, yes, Miss Proctor.
Diane, give that to me, will you?
Hold on, Miss Proctor. Why, Richard, you're here.
Give me that phone, please. Hello, Miss Proctor? Sir Richard. I want you to get down here as quickly as possible, take one of the cars and get Dora to ring Mrs. Glover. Yes, Mrs. Glover. She'll probably still be in bed. Get her out of it. I want her here as well. Thank you, Miss Proctor. Oh, and my solicitor, Kenneth Massey. Tell him to come. Mrs. Davenport, I might want you in a moment. Wait outside, will you?
Yes, sir.
Richard, what's happened? Why have you asked Millie Glover to come here, and Miss Proctor and Kenneth? And where have you been? And who was that man who called here this morning?
One moment. Timothy came to your room last night.
Yes.
What time?
But 7. 15:15, maybe. I don't know exactly. I was dressing.
He said he wasn't well.
Yes.
And what did you say to him?
Oh, I told him to take something and lie down and follow on when he felt better.
I think you're lying.
Richard, what is all this? What's happened?
Why did Timothy come to your room last night?
I told you. He said he felt ill.
Anything else?
He did say something about wanting to talk to me, I think.
About what?
Well, I don't know. I didn't ask him.
Why not?
I was dressing.
Was that more important than talking to your own son?
I was dressing to go to an important dinner given to honor you.
What did you say to him?
Oh, I said we'd have all the time in the world to talk in the morning. Now, Richard, will you please tell me what's happened? It is my son you're talking about.
Was he dressed?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Well, of course I'm sure. Richard, please.
He told you he was ill.
Yes.
Mrs. Davenport. Mrs. Davenport?
Yes, sir.
Come here, please.
Yes, sir.
When you came into my room this morning, you said you were pleased we enjoyed ourselves last night.
Yes, sir.
You said you were especially pleased for Mr. Timothy's sake.
Did I, sir?
You weren't expecting Timothy to go to the reception last night, were you?
Well,
Was it because he was ill?
ill, sir. There's nothing wrong with Mr. Timothy when he was talking to me in the kitchen at 7 o'clock.
What was he doing in the kitchen?
He just came down for a talk.
Did he often come down for a talk?
Sometimes, sir.
Richard, you're talking about Timothy as if...
Diana, please. Was he dressed when he came down to see you?
He is, sir.
What did he have to say to you?
Nothing much, sir.
What did he have to say to you, Mrs. Davenport?
He said he didn't want to go to the reception.
Why?
I don't know, sir. He didn't say.
Richard, please.
What did you say to him?
I told him he'd enjoy himself once he got there.
And?
He said he'd hate every minute of it.
And then?
He said he was going to talk to his mother about it.
Thank you, Mrs. Davenport.
Excuse me, sir. Is there anything wrong?
Thank you, Mrs. Davenport.
Yes.
Richard, will you please tell me what's happened?
That's what I'm asking you, Diana. I'm asking you what happened when Timothy came to your room last night.
I've told you. He said he felt ill.
I don't believe you.
Will you tell me what's happened?
I don't know. I wish to heaven I did. He was dressed when you were talking to him.
I told you he was.
Will you please tell me why he left your room, went to his own, took off his dinner suit and put on an old pair of flannels and a sports coat?
How do you know he did?
Because I've seen him.
Where? Where?
In the public mortuary.
And so ends Act One of our play. No cause or organization remains completely at a standstill. Either it progresses or it moves downhill. In the case of General Motors Holden's, the story is one of constant growth and development. Development dramatically accelerated by the production 10 years ago of Australia's own car, Holden. Brilliant initial design, plus combined American know-how and Australian workmanship, produced Holden, a car eminently suited to Australian conditions. Demand was immediate and sustained. In fact, it has snowballed with each successive year. This degree of Holden acceptance has been to some extent responsible for the series of expansion programs undertaken by General Motors Holden since the war. The company's annual report for 1958, published recently, comments particularly on the fifth of these expansion programs. This was announced in March last year and is estimated to cost about £9 million. Its objective is to increase the rate of Holden production to an estimated 125,000 vehicles a year. At the same time, it will provide facilities for the assembly of 22,000 Vauxhall, Chevrolet, and Pontiac passenger cars and Bedford commercial vehicles. Work is well underway. For example, the first section of an entirely new plant at Elizabeth, 17 miles north of Adelaide, will soon begin production. When completed, this £9 million project will bring General Motors Holden's post-war expenditure on expansion to £58 million. And now Act Two of the General Motors R production of Young Timothy.
You feel better now, Diana?
Yes.
Then we can go on with this talk. I want to know the truth. The truth about last night.
What happened?
Timothy's been found drowned. The police believe he committed suicide.
Suicide? When do they say it happened?
About 12:30, as far as they can tell. Why's he done it? Why? What did he have to say to you last night? Why didn't he want to come to the reception last night? Why are you lying about his being ill?
Oh, Richard, show a little feeling. Leave me alone for a while. May I come in?
Oh, yes, Miss Proctor.
I'm afraid I found a lot of reporters on the doorstep. I find it difficult to believe what they're saying.
What's it all got to do with the press?
It's your son, Sir Richard. What would you like me to tell them?
Nothing. I'll see them myself. You stay and talk to my wife.
I can't say how sorry I am, Lady Patterson.
Thank you.
Mrs. Glover's coming over as soon as she's dressed.
Millie? But what can she do? I don't know.
It was kind of Sir Richard to think you might need your friend.
Yes, it was kind of him. He's a very kind man, isn't he?
It's a very great shock.
18. Just 18. Oh, the police must be wrong, surely, when they say he took his own life. He was one of the most even-tempered, balanced boys I know. And if ever a young man had everything to live for...
Miss Proctor, please.
I'm sorry. I know exactly how you must feel. And I know there's nothing anybody can do. Nothing. The solution, the real solution, lies in oneself, I know.
Have you lost somebody you love very much?
Yes. Somebody I loved very much. And learning to accept it, Lady Patterson. Just that. An acceptance of what has happened.
And how does one learn to accept the fact that one's son, one's only son, is dead?
Proctor,
Oh, yes, Sir Richard?
there's likely to be a lot of telephone calls. We can't keep it out of the press, so if you'd take over the morning room.
Of course, Sir Richard.
As far as you know, there's been an accident. There's to be an inquest. They can have all their news then.
An inquest?
And keep in touch with the office. If there's anything that needs my attention, I'll have to deal with it.
Yes, Sir Richard.
Richard, please, now can I talk to you?
Just a moment, Diana. Miss Proctor, will you ring and see what's keeping Kenneth?
Yes, sir.
And you better tell Mrs. Davenport and Connie. They'll have to know sooner or later.
Yes, sir.
Now, Diana.
Do you realize you've told me nothing except that he's been found?
I know little else myself at the moment.
But where, Richard? How? It was an accident, wasn't it? An accident?
It's difficult to see how he could have fallen accidentally from a bridge with a stone parapet 6 feet high. He jumped deliberately.
No, Richard, no. I don't believe it. I refuse to believe it.
What happened when he came to your room last
You're
night?
asking me questions I want to know, too. I want to know what's happened and why.
I'm sorry, but I've got to answer questions to the police, questions to which there seems no answer. They've given me a breathing space, but they'll be here before the morning's out, and you know something. If you won't tell me, you'll have to tell Kenneth.
I know nothing, nothing.
Timothy wasn't ill last night. That was an excuse you made up. What did he want to talk to you about?
I don't know.
Was he in trouble with any girl?
I don't know.
You do know.
There was no girl.
How do you know?
Because if there was anything like that, Timothy would have faced it. He was neither dishonest nor a coward.
Oh, where was he last night? Where did he go? Who was he with?
I don't know. When Mrs. Davenport told me this morning that his room wasn't slept in, I even went through a telephone book of his to try and find someone he might have stayed the night with.
And did you?
No, no, no. Oh, Richard, what good can all this do? If he really is dead, nothing else matters.
A great deal matters. I've given my son everything I could. The only thing I can do now is to see that he's buried with as little shame as possible.
Is it me you're blaming? I said, is it me you're blaming?
Excuse me, Sir Richard.
Yes, Miss Proctor.
Mrs. Glover is here.
Oh, ask her to come in.
Yes, sir. In here, Mrs. Glover. Thank you. Oh, Di. This is something I can't believe.
It's true, Millie.
When did they find him?
12:30 this morning.
What can I do? What can I say? Oh, how useless one is at a time like this. Di, you look ill. Have you called a doctor for her, Richard?
It's all right, Millie. Oh, Millie, why did he? I've got to know why.
How did it happen, Richard?
The police believe he took his own life.
Then the police are fools. Timothy? What absolute nonsense.
If only you could be right.
But, my dear, what possible reason could Timothy have for taking his own life? Last night of all nights, his father knighted for the service of his country.
I know, it doesn't make sense. I was talking to him about it, too.
You were? When?
Last night, of course.
What did you say to him?
Nothing you can't read in this morning's papers.
I'd like to know.
Tell her, Richard. If somebody you love is taken from you, you cling to their last few hours. You want to know everything they thought and did.
Very well. I came in from the office at about 6. Came in here for a drink. Timothy was sitting at the piano. You know the way he was always tinkling at the thing.
Yes?
I was glad of the opportunity to have a chat with him. Timothy and I have never been like Henry and your son, Millie. Those two are friends. Anyway, last night was a pretty big night for me, and I was proud, and I wanted Timothy to share that pride. I talked about how my grandfather started with a little shed and a few tools repairing bicycles, and then how he started making them. All with no education, mind you. How he built his first big factory. How he suffered in the slumps of the 20s and the 30s. And how you and I have worked, Diana, to create a solid business so there'll be no misery and no unemployment in this town, at least. I told him how proud I was to have a son who was going to carry on.
And what did he have to say?
Nothing that I can recall. Should he have done? Anyway, it was nothing he didn't know.
He did go straight down to the kitchen and tell Mrs. Davenport he didn't want to go to your reception.
If he had anything to say, why didn't he say it to me there and then?
Did you give him the opportunity?
Did you give him the opportunity when he said he wanted to talk to you?
Well, if he was ill, he wouldn't go to the reception.
He wasn't ill. Not when he was talking to me and Mrs. Davenport.
When he came to my room, he complained of not feeling well. A sudden attack of nerves.
Well, then
perhaps.
why didn't he tell me or Mrs. Davenport? And could it have been an attack of nerves that made him change into old sports clothes?
Well, that's possible. If he was feeling ill, he would change into something more comfortable.
Well, I hadn't thought of that.
He changed, didn't he?
Yes, he was dressed when he was talking to me and Diana.
Is it possible he was making excuses when he said he was ill? A girl, perhaps, or a party of his own to go to?
Both of which were more important than the civic reception in my honor.
When you're 18, yes. Do you know of any girl, Di?
No.
I'd say it was a party. He had a bit too much to drink. Crossing the bridge on his way home, started to play the fool on that parapet and slipped.
And his friends walked off and left him?
They probably panicked.
At least it would mean he didn't wish to die.
If you're right, Millie, it's going to be difficult to make anybody come forward and talk, especially if they're likely to find themselves facing a charge of manslaughter, and I'd make sure they did.
I would forgive. I would forgive if I could know that he didn't do it.
I'll go and phone Roger.
Roger? What can he do?
Roger will know who was having parties last night. He always does.
Excuse me, Mom.
Yes?
Sir. Mom, is it possible to talk to you?
What is it?
Well,
Yes?
Oh, it's all right. I'm just going. I'll be back, Di.
Thanks, Millie.
well, Mrs. Proctor's just told us, Connie and me. I want to say first how upset we are. We can't believe it. Not Mr. Timothy.
Yes, Mrs. Davenport, what is it?
There's something I think you ought to know. This morning when I told you that Mr. Timothy's bed had been up and slept in, and we tried to find out if he'd gone anywhere, well, I happened to mention it to Connie. She said he spent last night at their house.
At Connie's house? That's ridiculous. You better send her up.
Very nervous and rather frightened, sir.
Why?
Well, she thinks she might have done something wrong.
Well, that's something we don't know yet.
I'm sure she didn't mean any harm.
I'm sure she didn't, Mrs. Davenport.
Oh, thank you, Mom.
And tell Mrs. Glover not to bother about that phone call.
Yes, sir.
Diana, do you know anything about this?
I told you. I even went through his telephone book this morning.
Millie's wrong, you know.
About it being an accident?
Yes.
I know.
Is it our fault? Is it something we've done?
Is it my fault? Is it something I've done? That's what you really mean to say, isn't it?
Is that why you're hiding the truth from me?
I'm hiding nothing from you.
Something happened last night when Timothy came to see you. I know it did.
Nothing happened. I wish it had. He might be alive now.
What do you mean by that?
Nothing.
For 20-odd years we've been married, and there's one thing stood out about our relationship. We could always be honest with each other. That's something few people can say. Why are you being dishonest with me now?
Can I come in, Mom?
Oh, just a moment, Connie. Richard, let me talk to her alone.
Why?
Because it's my son, too. I know, Connie. I can talk to her. I can talk to her as a woman.
Connie, come here, please.
Richard, please.
What is it, sir?
I'm told my son spent last night at your house.
Yes, sir.
Had you asked him to come and see you?
Oh, no, sir. He just came.
Did he say why he had come?
Oh, not exactly.
He must have given some reason.
He just said he didn't want to go to the reception.
Did he say why?
No, sir.
How long did he stay?
Until 11:30.
Had he been drinking?
Oh, no, sir.
Did you give him any drink?
That's something we never did, sir.
Did he say anything that made you think he was going to do a thing like this?
Oh, no, Mom, no.
My son came to visit you often.
Yes, sir.
How often?
Once or twice a week.
Why?
He just liked it, sir.
How did you spend your evenings?
We played cards sometimes, or the gramophone.
You've children of your own, haven't you?
Yes, sir, I've two.
How old are they?
I've got a boy of 16 and
what?
a girl, sir.
How old?
18, sir.
We're getting somewhere now, aren't we?
I don't follow you, sir.
Doesn't it strike you as being very strange that my son should prefer to spend his evenings at your home and not his own?
Yes, sir.
Was there anything between them?
Oh, no, sir. I mean...
You mean what?
I mean, she was very fond of him, but...
But what? Is she going to have a child?
Richard!
No, sir.
How can you be so positive?
Because I know my own daughter.
I thought I knew my son, and he's dead. How can you be positive? Have you talked to your daughter?
Richard, I will not allow you...
Answer me, Connie.
My daughter and I are friends. I know her. I know how she behaves.
My son left your house last night and killed himself. There must be some reason.
It isn't known to me.
Now, you listen to me.
That's enough, Richard. I won't listen to any more of this. Your arrogance, your interminable questions, your nasty suggestions. I want to talk to Connie alone.
I've not finished yet.
I insist, Richard.
Very well. But don't be too long about it.
Now, Connie, you have children of your own. Do try and understand what has happened to me and Sir Richard. We've got to know everything.
Please, Mom, don't ask me any more.
It's not only us. There's to be an inquest. Your evidence might be the most important of all because you or a member of your family might have been the last person to see him alive.
Oh, no,
Now,
no,
you've
Mom.
nothing to be afraid of, Connie. Now, have you?
Oh, please, Mom, don't ask me any more. I know nothing.
Did Timothy say anything that might make you think he had something on his mind other than not wanting to go to the reception?
No, Mom.
You're quite sure?
Yes, Mom.
Did he have anything to say about me, for instance?
Oh, no, he never had a word to say against you. Not you, never.
When he left you last night, did he seem quite happy?
Oh, yes. We made a bit of supper, and then he...
Then what?
Oh, please don't ask me any more, Ma'am.
How did you and your family come to be friends with Timothy? Now, you can tell me that, surely.
I really don't know. It just sort of happened.
But how did it happen?
Well, whenever he came down to the kitchen, I always seemed to have a broom in my hand. Oh, it's silly, really, it is.
Please go on.
Well, he used to make up stories about what happened to me when I rode away on it. After all, he was only a boy, and he did like to laugh and joke.
Yes. Go on.
Well, about a year ago, we was having a birthday party for Patsy, my daughter. Mrs. Davenport was coming. It was just with her.
He'd been coming to see you for about a year.
Yes, Ma'am.
What was the bond between your family and Timothy?
I don't understand you, Ma'am.
What sort of things did you talk about?
Just ordinary things. Just ordinary things.
Oh, can I come in?
Yes, Millie, it's all right. Connie's rather upset because she might have been the last person to see Timothy alive.
I'm sorry, Ma'am. Really, I am.
Come with me, Connie. I'll make you a cup of tea.
Go with Mrs. Glover, Connie.
Thank you, Ma'am.
I'll look after her, Di.
I suppose I can come back now.
Yes, Richard.
Well, what did you find out?
She knows nothing other than what she's told you, except that he had supper and left about 11:30.
Really? And did he leave the house alone?
I suppose so.
Well, didn't you ask?
No.
No. It wouldn't occur to you to ask if Connie's daughter was with him.
Oh, you're in here, Miss Proctor.
Yes, Lady Patterson. Sir Richard said I could use this room as my office.
I see.
Is there anything I can do for you? No, I just wanted to be alone for a while. Perhaps I can go into the garden. Any news of Kenneth Massey? Yes, he's on his way over. I'll be out here if anyone wants me. Yes, Lady Patterson.
Timmy! Hey, Timmy!
What do you want?
Oh, nothing. It's all right.
You were calling Timothy.
It's all right. Some other time.
What do you want with him? Why don't you call at the house instead of standing out here?
It's nothing to worry about.
I want to know.
It's not important.
It is important. I want to know.
Well, just ask him if it's all right for tonight. Tell him my grandmother's dead. He'll know what you mean.
I'm afraid I can't tell him. He died this morning.
Timothy?
I'm Timothy's mother. Will you tell me why you wanted to see him? I promise you, you won't get into trouble.
There's no point in it. Not now.
I want to know, please.
He was paying me to...
He was what?
He was paying me to let him do my paper round. Only the nights I want to play cricket.
But why should Timothy have wanted to do your round? And why should he pay you for doing it?
He said...
Yes?
He said by helping me, he was doing something useful in the world.
I see.
I wanted the money. I'm trying to be a mechanic. He said people should be helped to become what they want to be. He said nobody helped him. He said his parents couldn't care less.
And so ends Act 2 of our play. And now here is the final act in the General Motors R production of Young Timothy.
Mr. Massey is here, sir.
Oh, ask him to come in, please.
Yes, sir. Go in, please, Mr. Massey.
Hello, Richard.
Kenneth. Sit down.
Why didn't you send for me when you first got the news? Dealing with this sort of thing is my job.
I wanted to find out the truth for myself.
Have you?
I found out this much, that everybody's trying to hide the truth from me.
Who, for instance?
Oh, Diana.
You're mistaken, surely.
Ever since this has happened, it seems she's hiding something from me and accusing me at the same time. What could I have done? Diana, Timothy, there's nothing I've ever refused them, ever.
Yes, I know.
Diana's led exactly the life she wanted to. She's got a flat at Warren-les-Pins. I allow her more money than the government does its members of Parliament and pay for everything on top of that. If anybody's got any complaints, it's me. Diana should have kept a better control of him.
Timothy never struck me as a boy in need of control.
Why hasn't he had him in France with her? She usually does in the summer.
Well, he's 18, probably prefers his own friends now. You're being a bit hard on Diana. You've a lot to be grateful to her for, you know.
Oh, I'm not saying I haven't. Well, I've played my part, too. I've worked like a black. I've spared nothing. My whole life has been given to the firm. And it hurt, Ken. It hurt badly, this silent criticism.
What makes you think she's hiding something?
She said Timothy was ill last night, and I know he wasn't.
Anything else?
He told Mrs. Davenport he didn't want to go to the reception. Diana knows why, I swear it.
Well, I'll have a talk to her.
Another thing we've discovered is that Timothy was going around to Connie's twice a week, encouraged by Mrs. Davenport.
Well, young people strike up some pretty strange friendships, but they usually grow out as they mature.
Well, I know what I think. A wealthy young boy like Timothy, a working-class family, they knew which side their bread was going to be buttered if they could pull it off. I'll wager Connie's daughter has a lot to do with it. That's why Timothy was strung up last night and wanted to talk to Diana. They'd given him until last night to do something about it. He didn't want to marry the girl, went round there to fight it out, and then panicked. Young idiot. Why didn't he come to me?
What does the girl's mother say?
Oh, denies everything.
Richard, why question the servants before doing the obvious?
What?
Well, if you've been through his room, letters, diaries, that sort of thing.
Oh, I never thought about
Well,
it.
you should have done. If there is anything, you've got something to tackle the people with. Has Timothy any debts?
Hello, Kenneth.
Oh, hello, Diana. I was just asking Richard a few things I'll have to know.
Please continue.
Well, if you don't feel up to it.
Please.
He has no reason to have any debts. He had his own banking account.
Did he ever come to you for money, Diana?
No, never.
Where will his bank statements be, in his room?
He's got his own desk. They're probably in there.
Well, there may be gambling debts or something of that sort.
Inconceivable.
Excuse me, sir.
Oh, yes, Miss Proctor. What is
The
it?
London office is on the phone.
Oh. All right, I'll come.
Yes, sir.
Excuse me, will you?
Yes, yes, of course. Di, I don't have to tell you how deeply sorry I am.
There's nothing anybody can do.
Richard thinks you're hiding something from him.
I know.
Are you?
Yes?
Why?
You go on lying to a person about himself? Do you think after 20 years he's going to believe the truth now? I've done no more than most women do. Flattery, praise, tell him how wonderful he is, agree with everything he says so that I should be free to live my own life, because that's the only way I could find any sort of happiness.
Is that what Timothy talked to you about last night, Richard?
Yes. That and more.
What did he have to say?
Nothing that can help him now. Last night, perhaps.
I see. So you think if you listened to Timothy last night...
Not only listened, but acted.
Acted in what way?
In the way I wanted 2 years ago. Leave, Richard.
That's being unfair to Richard.
Is it?
You can't say your marriage has not been happy or successful. You've been luckier than most. You had your differences with Richard, but you both showed your common sense and saved your home for your children.
What a hypocrite you are, Kenneth. Because everything looks all right, because the appearances are kept up, everything is all right.
Diana, be honest. It's worked, hasn't it?
It worked for Timothy, didn't it?
Mom,
Yes, Mrs. Davenport.
it's my nephew, Mom. He's heard the news and he's come round. He wants to see you and Sir Richard.
Some other time, Mrs. Davenport. He didn't see Timothy yesterday.
Oh, thank you, Mom. There's nothing he can tell you. Really, there isn't.
What's this?
A nephew of Mrs. Davenport's. Timothy and he met.
Well, I'd like to see him.
But there's nothing he can
Show
tell you.
him in here, please.
Yes, sir.
First Connie and her tribe, and now Mrs. Davenport and hers. What's been going on?
My nephew, sir. Peter Tillman.
Oh, come in, young man.
Go along, Peter. Don't be frightened.
Who's frightened?
You've been friendly with my son, I believe.
I don't expect you to be pleased about that. It's a great disgrace for you, isn't it? For the son of the great Sir Richard Patterson to go out and drown himself. He had everything to live for. Fine house, clothes, servants, a car. Going up to university, too. A ready-made position at how many thousand a year? His father will be a lord before he's finished. Timothy would have been a lord. His sons would have been lords. And yet he goes out and kills himself. Doesn't make sense, does it?
If you have anything to tell us, let's have it and then get out.
If I'd been in his shoes, I'd have done exactly the same thing, only I've done it
Young
sooner.
man, you're going to get nowhere by being abusive or insulting. If you've anything to tell us, let's have it calmly and sensibly.
Do you know what this is?
It's a recording of some kind, isn't it?
Yes. Sort of Viennese waltz it is. The romantic streak in him, that Timothy.
What do you mean?
He wrote this song recorded on this. Composed a lot of music, as a matter of fact.
Did you know anything about this music of his life?
Oh, well, he mentioned something about it.
Why didn't he tell me?
I don't think you would have understood.
Young man, has this really got anything to do with what you've got to tell us?
Yes. You see, me and some of the boys have our own four-piece.
Four-piece what?
We play down the Skiffle Club.
Oh, a dance band, you mean?
You could call it that. Timothy showed us his pieces, and we liked them and played them and recorded one or two. Gave him a great kick. Said it was the first thing he could remember giving him any real pleasure. And one night, when our pianists were sick, Timothy played for him.
Diana, I suppose you know all about this as well.
No.
He used to play for us 2 or 3 times a week.
Was he playing last night?
No.
Well, then what's the point of all this?
Kenneth, please, I want to know everything this young man has to tell us.
I'll tell you, and more besides. I'll tell you something about our club, something that'll surprise you. We've got a code of honor.
How interesting.
Drinking taboo. No girls except the nice ones. And the money we make out of the club, we try and do some good with. Charity doesn't mean to us what it means to you, Lady Patterson, sitting very grandly on your committees because it keeps your name in the papers, holding your posh dances. And by the time you've paid yourself your expenses and drunk yourself silly out of the takings, there's nothing left for the people the money's supposed to go to.
Leave my wife out of
She was his mother, wasn't she?
Go on, please.
Our charity's human. We go round to the kids in the hospitals. We give them shows. We take them oranges and sweets. But you despise that, wouldn't you?
Get out.
Timothy enjoyed himself with us and hated being in his own home because he'd found we'd got something. A sense of values. A sense of human values.
Get out!
There's only one thing that matters to you in this world. Every penny you make is for one purpose and one purpose only. To show the world just how big Sir Richard Patterson is. And you're not very particular how you get it.
Get rid of him, Kenneth.
Anything you've got to say, you can say in my office.
Anything he's got to say, he can say right here and now.
I'm going to say what I've come to say. Timothy was my friend and he's dead.
He was my son. Don't forget that.
And it's because he was your son that he's dead.
I think this has gone far enough.
Let him have his say.
Diana?
Let him have it.
Timothy was condemned to a useless life. A life serving Sir Richard Patterson. It's better no life than a useless one.
Kenneth! Get rid of him.
Yes, very well. Come on, young man.
Right. I'll finish what I've come to say.
You shouldn't have got him here in the first place.
Why did Timothy prefer the company of people like that? I can't understand it.
I can, Richard. I can understand. What he and Peter believed was right. You and I have learned that life doesn't work that way, but he was still right.
Is that what Timothy talked to you about last night?
Yes. He told me he loathed everything you stood for.
Why are you telling me now?
There was no point in telling you last night or this morning because you wouldn't have believed me. Perhaps now you will.
He wasn't ill then.
No. I lied to save having a scene with you. The same as I've done for years. Lies, lies, tell you how wonderful you were. Agree with everything you say. It made life so much easier.
Are you trying to tell me that Timothy took his own life because of what I am?
He took his life because it would have been like mine, having to spend his days serving you.
What did you say to him last night?
The same as I've always done. But it was no use trying to argue with you about anything. He had to do exactly what I do, agree with everything you say, then please himself. But for last night, he should have put a face on things and come to the reception. I said we could have a long talk about everything in the morning.
Excuse me, sir.
Oh, yes?
Patsy Holmes would like to see you. Connie's daughter, sir.
Show her in.
Yes, sir.
Didn't I say in the first place there was a girl somewhere?
You're wrong. There was nothing between Timothy and this girl, I know. I just know.
Excuse me.
Come in, Patsy.
Thank you.
Well, what have you got to tell us?
When I heard the news about Timothy, I came to see my mother. She was fond of Timothy. But that's not the only thing she's upset about. She's upset because you've been trying to make her say things she doesn't want to say.
Such as?
I'm not afraid like my mother. I can tell you what she couldn't.
And what couldn't she tell us?
I love Timothy. I loved him very much.
Are you going to have a child?
No.
Were you hoping to marry?
No. Wouldn't have been possible, would it? Even if Timothy had loved me.
But you loved him?
Yes.
But just why have you come to see us?
Because I don't want Timothy's name put to shame. I want people to know that it wasn't his fault he did what he did. Timothy said he'd found something in our house. He said life had some meaning for us. He didn't want to go to university. He really didn't know what he wanted. But he was very good with his music. He wasn't up to professional standard, but I never used to tell him that.
I'm surprised.
I thought if I could make him feel he was good at music, then it'd help him to think he'd be good at other things. My mother used to say the trouble was nobody ever tried to find out what he could do and encourage him.
Timothy's future was taken care of.
Yes, exactly.
What we really want to find out is who was the last person to speak to him?
I was.
Where?
On the bridge. I walked part of the way home with him. We stopped there for a long time. Just talking.
What about?
Everything. Things like I've just told you.
No, there was something else, wasn't there?
In a way. He was going on about being no good at anything. I said it was silly to talk like that. And perhaps if he left home for a while, it'd give him a chance to find out what he could do. He said he never would be any good because his background was rotten.
But why?
I tried to talk him out of it. I said people were what they made themselves. But he said he was trapped. He didn't want to become what his father is. He said he worshipped his mother. He'd understood when she said it was for his father's sake that she was always going to cocktail parties and sitting on committees and things. But he discovered that wasn't the real reason she'd so little time for him.
Well, what was the reason?
Well, the first reason was that she enjoyed all that sort of thing. And the second was that he telephoned her in France one late evening about a week ago.
He telephoned when?
He said he wanted to go to France to talk to her about himself. He said it was easy for her to always say that all he had to do was agree with everything his father said and then please himself. But he couldn't please himself because his father had his life planned out.
I didn't receive any telephone call.
You didn't answer the phone yourself.
When did he phone?
Tuesday night.
Tuesday. Oh, no.
He didn't want to believe it. And he tried to talk to her about it last night, Sir Richard, but he knew by the way she was dressing she was drinking.
I said I found her sitting at a ball without a glass in my hand.
He said she was lying, that she enjoyed that sort of life. It was her life. He believed there was no hope for him.
But what's behind this telephone call?
You shall know from me.
I said things had seemed different in the daytime. I had to go. It was 12:30. I made him promise to meet me this afternoon. I kissed him and went. He used to always stand and wave until just before I was out of sight.
Thank you, Patsy.
I suppose he must have stood there looking at the river, thinking. If he'd loved me and I'd been able to marry him, things might have been different. They might have been happy for both of us. All of us.
He was in love with that girl.
He was in love. Is that all you can say?
He was in love with that girl. He knew nothing could ever come of it, so he said nothing to her. I consider that to be rather fine. It's heartbreaking that he couldn't enjoy a boy and girl romance the same as other young people.
How about this telephone call?
7 years ago, our marriage ceased to exist, except in name only. Need you ask any more?
I'd like to know.
Tuesday, we'd been to a party at Cannes. I was rather drunk. If I'd known, I'd have answered the phone myself, but we thought it was somebody who'd be making a nuisance of himself.
It's hard to remember that there was once a day when I loved you.
Did you ever? You married me because I could be useful to you, just as you were useful to me. What did my breeding mean without money? We'd served each other well, and we've paid for it.
I lived for myself when you ceased to care. And Timothy. I've wanted to be friends with him. I've tried, but I'd forgotten how to talk to people in that way. I didn't want to force him to join me at the work. I wanted it because I thought that we'd have something in common and become friends. He could have had anything. Become anything if he'd asked me.
You loved that boy, didn't you?
Yes.
I did love you once. That's all I can say. I loved you once.
What went wrong? What changed you?
I don't know. It just seemed as if one day it all ceased to be. I should have left you, but I stayed because I loved the life you would give me. And what did it all mean when it ended with a boy standing alone on a bridge, frightened of life?
I'd better go and tell Kenneth. Stop looking through Timothy's desk. It's useless now.
Die.
Oh, Millie. Millie.
Millie, what have I done? What have I done to Richard and Timothy?
Go to Richard, Di.
Killed him, I killed him, Millie.
Go to Richard.
Too late.
He needs you.
A young life. Wasted.
Go to Richard, Di. Let some good come out of it. Then perhaps one day you'll be able to forgive yourself.
Oh, sorry, Mom. Didn't know you were still here.
What do you want, Mrs. Davenport?
I want to draw the curtains, Mom.
Why?
Out of respect, Mom.
Di, shall I go and tell Richard?
Would you, Millie?
At once, dear.
And so ends the General Motors R production of Young Timothy by Michael Voicey, adapted for radio by Ruth Bullen, in which you heard the following players. As Patsy, Wynne Nelson. Peter, John Hewitt. Kenneth, Richard Davis. The youth, Keith Buckley. Miss Proctor, Marcia Hathaway. Mrs. Davenport, Miva Drummond. Connie, Lynn Murphy. Henry, Reginald Collins. Millie, Mary Clark. Our stars were Nigel Lovell as Sir Richard Patterson and Diana Perryman as his wife, Diana. The General Motors R is directed by Harry Harper, who produced tonight's play. The General Motors R. General Motors Holdens, through the Macquarie Network and cooperating stations in all states, present The Sign of the Cross, starring Alistair Duncan. This is John Deese introducing our play. One of the most powerful and successful plays ever presented on the theme of persecution was that written by Wilson Barrett, The Sign of the Cross. It took London and then the whole English-speaking world by storm. Since it was written 60 years ago, it has been revived countless times and has been made into a film more than once. The story of the Roman prefect Marcus Superbus and the Christian girl Mercia, set in the atmosphere of the corrupt court of Emperor Nero, is one to which audiences have never failed to respond. Tonight, as a special Easter play, the General Motors R presents a radio version starring Alistair Duncan as Marcus with Coralie Neville as Mercia. The play will be produced by Harry Harper. Ladies and gentlemen, Act 1 of the General Motors R production of The Sign of the Cross.
So the soldiers and the citizens of Rome have another of these Christian dogs. Eh, Servilius?
I know the fellow. I've been watching him for weeks. But Caius got him, so I lost Nero's reward of 200 sesterces. A plague on Caius.
Christian hunting pays well these days in Rome.
Come, Strabo, throw the dice.
Sorry, my attention was drawn away. That fine fellow passing yonder.
That's Viturius, captain of the guard to Marcus Superbus.
I know it. Oh, I'd like to be Marcus Superbus.
Or Jupiter or Apollo, eh? As well wish to be a god as to be Marcus Superbus. Next to the Emperor Nero, he's the richest man in Rome.
It's an accursed shame that one man should have so much and another nothing.
Some of it may be ours, if we can but trap a Christian or two. Meantime, the dice, Strabo. Strabo. Two strangers come. See how they meet? With caution, with curious stares. Keep playing, my Strabo. But keep your ears and eyes open. You saw? With his staff on the ground, he drew the sign of the cross.
What art thou, stranger?
a fisherman from Galilee.
Who sent thee hither?
Paul of Tarsus, apostle of him they crucified.
Dost thou tarry long in Rome?
Long enough only to give Paul's message to the brethren. Where meet they tomorrow?
At the grove next the Sestian Bridge.
At what hour?
The 10th.
How many?
Hush, friend. Even the stones of Rome have ears. Let us not tarry here. Come away a little.
My Strabo, I smell money here. Christians these. Here's sport and money both. Follow, dear Strabo, follow.
He's mine! This Christian is worth 200 sesterces, and Nero will make a torch of him!
Cease, I say! What are ye then, men or wolves? Are white hairs no longer reverenced in Rome? Fabius, my father, are you hurt?
I feel no pain, my daughter.
But there is blood upon thee. Look, men of Rome, are ye not ashamed? Let me lead thee home, my father.
Not so fast. What say ye, citizens? Shall a pair of pretty eyes and a baby face rule Rome and Romans?
I beg of thee to let this old man go. There is no harm in him. I know him well. He hath wronged no one, unless it be a wrong to nurse the sick, comfort the weary, help the helpless. All these things hath he done. Would you slay him for that?
He is a Christian! Yes!
What hath this old man done?
He is a Christian, master.
Vittorius, silence that fellow.
Nay, good Marcus, I have done no wrong.
What is thy name, girl?
Mercia.
And thy name, old man?
Fabius.
Is this maid thy daughter?
Nay, sir.
Nor any kin of thine?
I have no kin.
Why is she with thee, then?
She came between me and the rabble when they did set upon me to protect me.
Protect thee? The lily protect the tottering oak. Girl, what is this man to thee?
He is my teacher.
Teach you in the schools?
No.
Of what sect are you?
I am a philosopher.
Guards! Clear the streets! Girl, if ever thou shouldst be in need of a friend, come to me.
Monsieur, come close. Shall the dove seat the hawk for friendship?
Am I the hawk?
Thou art Marcus Superbus.
Well?
One woman more or less is naught to thee. This child is purity, innocence itself.
Innocence is a rare jewel in Rome, and for its rarity much desired.
Thou hast done a noble action in saving her from the rabble. It will be recorded in thy favor. Do not stain that record with evil. Let this maiden go her way unharmed.
I do not hinder her or thee. Go thy ways.
Come, Mercia, come.
The loveliest face I have seen in all my days. Young. Innocent. Alone in this heartless city. Vittorius! Follow them. Find out where they live, of what family the girl is. Quick, learn all you can of her.
Yes, Excellence.
Well, Vittorius, where left you the girl?
In a small house, Excellence. The fourth on the right from the statue of Hercules.
What know you of the inhabitants of that house?
The house is suspected, Excellence.
Of what?
Of being a meeting place for these Christians. The aedile of the district has set a special watch upon the house.
Who is the aedile?
Licinius.
Oh, the gods protect these people, then, if he do suspect them. Vittorius, return at once to the house. Learn from the spies what is to be done. If any arrest is ordered or contemplated, let me be advised instantly. You understand?
I go, Excellence.
Licinius, a wolf with ravening fangs.
Marcus?
Hail, Berenice!
And so, my Marcus, what is the latest gossip?
That Berenice is still Berenice.
Is that a compliment?
If I say the sun is still the sun, can I pay its light a greater tribute? If I say the rose is still the rose, can I extol its sweetness more? If I say Berenice is still Berenice, can I pay Berenice a higher compliment?
Marcus, shall I be honored?
How, gracious lady?
With thy escort home.
Thou hast thy slaves as escort, lady.
Know you not what it is to love, Marcus? Have you no heart?
Heart.
Marcus, news travels fast in Rome. I've met just now with Glabrio. He saw you, he says, rescue a lovely Christian girl.
Glabrio's tongue is not to be relied upon. The result of an all too early devotion to the god of wine.
Marcus was overcome by her beauty. That is what Glabrio declares. Who is she, this Christian girl?
There is no evidence that she is a Christian. A young girl and an old man were attacked by the rabble here in the street. My guards protected them, that is all. It appears that Glabrio saw too much or heard too little. Not an uncommon failing with men of his habits.
'Tis said that men in wine speak the truth.
Another and still older proverb for thee, Berenice. When the wine is in, the wit goes wandering.
There is more that Glabrio says. He says that Marcus has a rival in the fiery Tigellinus, not only for Nero's favor, but for the hand of Berenice. He says that Marcus and Berenice, united, need fear no Tigellinus. What say you, Marcus?
Marcus alone has yet to fear a Tigellinus.
Then I watch this present meeting with interest.
Meeting? Ah, Tigellinus.
Well met, Prefect.
Hail, Tigellinus.
Hail, gentle lady. Prefect, I was on my way to seek thee. The Emperor greets thee and sends thee this.
Is it so urgent?
Most urgent. Read the scroll.
To my well-beloved servant Marcus, greeting. The accursed sect of the Christians is increasing. It is my wish that they be exterminated. They plot together to destroy my throne and life. They will not bow down to me, nor call me Caesar, nor pay tribute unto me. They are murderers and fanatics, venomous and bloodthirsty. Spare none of them, men, women, or children. Slay those who are dangerous. The rest I will give to the beasts in the arena. Thou hast full power. Show mercy to none. On thy life I charge thee to be faithful, Caesar.
Tigellinus, your news seems to trouble the noble Marcus.
It should not.
I kiss the mandate of the Emperor.
And will obey it, Marcus?
Can you doubt it?
Go you homeward, lady. Let me add to your escort.
Gladly, good Tigellinus. Farewell, Marcus. The Emperor hath chosen wisely. Torture and death to all Christians without distinction of sex. A wise decree and a timely one. Farewell, Marcus.
Farewell, lady.
Excellent.
Soft, Vittorius, till they are gone. Well, what is it?
The young girl.
Mercia.
Yes, Excellent. I was watching the house as you did command when I saw the door cautiously open. A boy came out, looked carefully up and down the street. Not observing me, he beckoned, and the girl Mercia, with mantle o'er her head, came softly forth. I doubled up upon them to tell thee. See, here they come.
Stand aside, Vittorius. Let them approach without seeing us.
Indeed, I am safe now, Stephanus. Return to Fabius.
Nay, I will not leave thee, Mercia, till I see thee within thine own doors. The streets are not safe for thee.
Indeed they are not. Nor for thee either, boy. Let me attend thee, lady. In the streets of Rome, this boy is no protection.
I thank thee, sir, but I do not need thy help.
Dost thou fear me, lady?
I have been told to avoid thee,
By the old man, Fabius.
him and others.
I have a bad reputation.
Yes.
Now, perchance I deserve it, and perchance do not. Perchance I have been a trifle spoiled. It is long since I desired anything ardently. Today I have had a revelation. There is, I find, in all this worn-out Rome, one thing I really want, and really mean to have. Canst guess what thing this is?
I do not wish to try. Please let me pass.
That is the very woman, Excellence.
Tigellinus. Back so soon, my friend.
Who is this woman, Prefect?
This lady's name is Mercia.
This man denounces her as a Christian. If it is so, it is your duty to arrest her.
Arrest me.
Be sure I do know my duty, Tigellinus. Not only to the Emperor, but to myself. Vittorius, attend this lady. See her safely home.
Have a care, Marcus. If thou dost neglect thy duty...
Enough, Tigellinus. Vittorius, I hold thee responsible for the lady's safety. Go. Lady, farewell.
Boy, thou thou lovest Mercia?
Yes, Fabius, I do love Mercia.
This Marcus seeks her destruction. As yet he knows not she is a Christian, but she is suspected, and thou hast been seen in her company. It may be that thou wilt be arrested. They will think that being young thou mayst be induced to betray us and Mercia.
Never.
So thou wilt be faithful?
Unto death.
Then speed thee now to our brother Milos. Tell him the brethren are gathering at the grove next the Sestian bridge at the 10th hour, and we require his presence. Be faithful and vigilant, my son. Keep to the byways. See that thou art not followed or watched. Go, and the spirit of him we serve be with thee now and forever.
Amen, my father.
A brave lad and faithful.
But still a child, Fabius. Why choose a child for such an errand?
Because he is less likely to be suspected, Titus, and followed. Until he was seen with Mercia, none has met him with the brethren.
Now that he has been seen, take my counsel, brother. Choose another messenger.
After tonight, I will. Wait. Mercia, my daughter.
I have been followed, Father.
By whom?
I know not. As I left my house, I saw a man with a mantle o'er his face start up from behind a pillar. I tried to elude him.
He did not see you enter here?
I think not.
Thou seest, Titus, how the brethren fare in Rome. Hunted like beasts. Neither age nor sex is regarded. At the last carnival, in the amphitheater, Nero threw young maidens into the arena where hungry tigers leapt upon them and lapped up their blood, and they died, glorying in their shepherd. Others who would not abjure the Saviour he coated with pitch, and set them on high poles and burned them as torches to light up his infamous orgies, and as they burned, they sang the song of the Redeemer. Were they not faithful unto him?
Yea, brother, even as thou art, and thou wilt be my daughter when the time comes.
Hush. Who knocks?
One wishing speech with Fabius.
Do I know thee?
Open and see.
Go thou within, Mercia.
Yes, my father.
Hail, Fabius.
Who, with a cloak and hood muffling up thy face?
Who is with thee?
A friend. Who art thou?
My name is Taras. I'm a boatman on the Tiber. Yesterday thou wert accused of being a Christian. Art thou?
What gives thee the right to question?
In Rome today, those who have been in their innocence misled may also be destroyed.
Of what speak you now?
Of this strange new worship, this foreign superstition.
Know you of what you speak?
I know these Christians worship strange gods and work in secret for the downfall of Caesar.
I have heard no such tales, sir. It has been told me that they worship but one God, and he the everlasting. That they seek the downfall of no man, even such a thing of evil as Nero, the monster you call your king, whose mouth is full of bitterness and curses, under whose reign Rome has become as a wanton, filled with lust and drunkenness.
Brother!
You are bold, old man. That speech heard by other ears than mine would cost thee thy life, and the lives of all who consort with thee.
Thy errand here, Tyrus.
I come as a friend to warn thee. Beware of Tigellinus. Beware of Licinius. They seek thy life and the life of the maiden thou dost call Mercia. If thou be what men do call thee, followers of this Nazarene, this Christ, for the sake of the maiden, cast her from thee. Thou art old and thy time is near, but she is young, with all the young blood in her veins. Let her live her little life in happiness.
Happiness? Dost know what that word means? Mercia, Mercia, come hither.
Yes, my father.
This stranger desires me to cast thee from me, that thou mayst live in the world as others live who know not the truth. Wouldst thou so live?
No, my father.
He says there is happiness.
He knows not of what he speaks. The kingdom of heaven is not meat and drink, but righteousness and peace and joy. But how should Marcus Superbus, prefect of Rome, know this?
Marcus, the prefect.
Maiden, thine eyes are as keen as they are beautiful.
I should have thought Marcus would pay others to spy for him.
By the gods, old man, and so I might. But there was someone here I wished to see for myself, and would go far and through much to behold. Lady, there is at present no evidence against thee. Let there be none. For as the Caesar liveth, I will obey him. For thy sweet sake I would do much. But my duty I must also do. So be warned in time.
Who's there?
Milos, thy friend. Haste, I bring bad tidings.
Enter, Milos.
Stephanus has been arrested by Licinius and Tigellinus.
Stephanus?
Is that the boy I saw with thee?
Yes.
Who is this? Marcus Superbus.
What doth he here?
Let that rest. Whither have they taken the boy?
To the prison of the district.
If the boy knows aught against thee, fly the city. For he will be made to speak by tomb. Prevent them doing their duty. I may prevent them doing more. Farewell, lady.
We cannot stop the brethren. They are even now on their several ways to the meeting place by the waters of the Tiber. Let us go to them, to pray or to suffer with them as he wills. Though the wicked encompass us around, he will be with us. And though we go down into the depths, he will uplift us.
Servilius, repeat before this boy what thou hast told me.
Excellence, I followed him to the house of one Milos. I heard him say, the brethren meet at... Then he saw me and stopped. I then denounced him to Licinius.
Again, boy, art thou a Christian?
I serve my master.
Where dwelleth he?
By the right hand of the Father.
Answer directly. Art thou a follower of the Nazarene, this Christ? The whip. Follow ye this Christ.
I'll not deny my master, I do.
These brethren, where do they meet?
I will not say.
Let us know the meeting place.
I know it.
Again?
Thou canst slay my body, thou canst not kill my soul.
Answer and save thyself further pain.
He who suffered for me will help me.
Enough. Guards, put him to the rack.
Aye, Excellence.
I will tell you nothing. He will sustain me.
Licinius, if we could but drag Marcus into this. Marcus is Nero's favorite, but excites Caesar's fears and he will believe anything. He starts at shadows, shudders at the fall of a leaf. Each bush to him doth hide an assassin. Poison lurks in every dish. The very air is peopled with the ghosts of those he has slaughtered. Marcus, I verily believe, doth love this girl Mercia. If we arrest her, Marcus's temper will bear no opposing will, not even that of Nero. He will go to any length, run any risk to set her free again. What more simple than to urge him onto some act of folly or disobedience that will bring him into disgrace with Nero? The rack hath found his tongue. Will thou answer now, boy?
I dare not.
Again! He's fainted. Bring him hither and some wine. Down there. Give him wine. Answer, boy.
The grove.
Where?
By the Sestian Bridge.
The hour?
10.
Their names?
No, I cannot.
You shall, or the rack shall drag it from you.
Stop!
Marcus! The rack? For this child? Soldiers, set him down.
Thou darest presume!
Presume! Set down that boy, I say, or Caesar liveth, thou shalt take his place.
Marcus, this is treason against Caesar. And as Caesar liveth, thou shalt answer it to Caesar.
I will answer it to Tigellinus. I have Caesar's orders, and I execute them as I think fit.
Come, Licinius, we waste time here. Guard, see to the boy. Captain, get thy men and follow me.
Yes, Excellence.
Pain.
Drink this. It will revive thee.
Hey, let me die. Kill me. In mercy, kill me. I have betrayed them.
Betrayed?
It was not my heart, but my tongue that spoke. I told them where the brethren meet tonight. Mercy.
What of Mercia?
She will be there. Save her.
The place.
The grove by the Sestian Bridge.
Vittorius!
Yes, Excellence.
Vittorius, meet me with thy men in the Sestian Grove. Though we anger Nero himself, we must save the girl Mercia from Tigellinus. Go, Vittorius!
Brethren, be faithful. Love them that hate you. Pray for them that despitefully use you. Love one another. Be patient in sorrow. Rejoice with them.
Father! Fabius! Mercia! Brethren! We're betrayed! Tigellinus and his soldiers are upon us!
Stay, brethren! Brethren, by the cross I implore you, stay firm and meet your enemies like Christians. Be not afraid. Let us pray together. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He leadeth me into green pastures.
Fall upon them! Spare none of
Art thou the leader, old man?
Stand back! Kill me, but spare him!
No one is to be spared! Back from him, girl!
Hold, Tigellinus!
Again, Marcus!
Hold, I say, in the name of the Emperor! Slay no more! Take them all prisoners. Tigellinus, leave this girl to me.
And now Act 2 of the General Murtaugh production of The Sign of the Cross.
Tigellinus, why come you here to my house with these tidings?
Perhaps to whet thy appetite for gossip, Berenice. Art not provoked to learn that when I found a nest of these Christian vipers and would have exterminated them, your noble Marcus steps in, spares them, and has taken one of the women to his palace?
Why should I be concerned with Marcus?
Of course. How foolish of me to speak of Marcus. And let us talk of something else.
Well, not so fast.
The topic of Marcus and this Christian girl can scarcely interest thee, Berenice. Thou hast said as much.
Women are always interested in a love story.
And this is a strange love story indeed. 'Tis said that Marcus, the richest, most powerful man in Rome, doth madly love and vainly woo this Christian girl, while Berenice doth pine in vain for him.
Do they say that of me? Didst come to tell me this?
Nay, but to serve thee.
How canst thou serve me?
By helping thee revenge thyself.
Oh, this girl, this Mercia?
And on Marcus.
How?
Marcus has full power to judge and punish these Christians. Well, he has chosen to spare this girl Mercia, and keeps her a prisoner in his own palace.
Repeat this to Nero, not to me.
Ah.
Why not?
And Poppaea the Empress? If she should learn that I had tried to injure Marcus, on whom she dotes, the gods be with me.
What then do you propose?
That you do visit Poppaea. Tell her of Marcus's infatuation, and induce her to influence Nero to send this Mercia to the lions.
A contemptible piece of work, which I care not to undertake.
Then let Mercia live, and let Rome still pity Berenice.
'Tis a hard decision.
Revenge thyself for the slight that has been put upon thee. This man, Marcus.
This man, Marcus. Yes, pray go on. Am I in the way?
Eavesdropping, Marcus?
No, Tigellinus, though you were discussing my character, it seems. Lady, am I in the way?
Stay, Marcus. I wish to speak with thee.
And I am about to go. Remember, Berenice, what I have said.
Farewell, Tigellinus.
Farewell, Berenice.
You sent for me, lady?
I did. And most unwillingly thou hast come.
How can I serve thee, lady?
Am I so very repulsive? Others do not think so.
Others? All are agreed. Patrician Rome can boast no fairer daughter than Berenice.
Marcus, canst thou not see what is in my heart? Dost thou not know this is no girlish fancy, but the deep, strong love of a woman who never loved before, whose whole nature hath been held back so long that unless the floodgates are unbarred, the pent-up tide will burst all bounds and engulf me, body, mind, and soul. Marcus, pity me.
Berenice, by all the respect that man can show for woman. If friendship, if devotion...
Friendship? I ask for love. You offer friendship.
I offer all I have to give.
All that thou hast to give to me. But to another? What sayest thou to that, Marcus? Marcus, caught at last by the baby face of a miserable Christian girl whose life is forfeit to the law. Marcus loves a wretched, nameless Christian, a thing despised and loathed, the companion of thieves and murderers, the scum of Rome, and outcast.
Stop! I will hear no more.
You shall hear me.
Pardon me, lady, but I will not. I take my leave.
You shall not go till you've heard me. Love is so near to hate that one step, one hair's breadth past the boundary line, and love is merged in loathing. Have a care, Marcus. Berenice will not be scorned, and bear it.
Does Berenice stoop to threaten?
Stoop? Ye gods, can I stoop lower than I have done? All Rome knows this girl is in thy house.
I care not.
Rome laughs and swears you plead in vain.
I care not.
Is it true? Is it?
Lady, it is true. I do love Mercia. I do plead with her. In vain.
Marcus, the great Marcus, refused by a Christian wanton.
Stop! And understand me, Berenice. What Rome may say of Marcus troubles me nothing. What Rome or Berenice may say of Mercia may trouble me much. What this Christianity is, I know not. But this I do know. If it makes such women as Mercia, then Rome, the whole world, will be the purer for it.
You dare to speak of her thus to me?
And why not dare, lady?
How if I repeat your words?
Repeat them if thou wilt.
To Nero?
To Nero.
Take care, Marcus. Measure my determination with your own, and add to my advantage the hate I bear her, and Nero's power to injure you.
Lady, farewell. No good can come of further argument.
Marcus, stay!
No, lady, I have stayed too long.
Die. Too long.
Hail Caesar! Hail Caesar! Hail Nero! Hail mighty Caesar!
Ah, Tigellinus, whispering, plotting. What treason is toward?
Nay, Caesar, I did but say that had thine august mother not made thee emperor of Rome, thy godlike voice had given thee empire o'er the world.
Ah, yes, I can sing. Even my detractors admit I'm an artist.
In sooth, Apollo must lay aside his lyre when Nero sings.
Apollo? Oh, yes, a statue of myself in gold. All gold as Apollo. I'll have it done, Tigellinus. The wife of Garamentes has insulted our empress, our love Poppaea.
She dared?
Refused to attend her feast. Her delicate health forbade. We'll physic her delicacy. See that Garamentes is warned that his absence from the world alone can atone for his wife's absence from the feast. Bid him open his veins. If he lives when dawns tomorrow's sun, not he alone, but he and all his brood shall die ere it doth set. See to it, Tigellinus.
Gladly, Caesar. It is but justice.
And we want new games in the circus. How fares this Christian conspiracy?
They still plot against thy sacred life, Caesar.
Huh? What? Thou knowest this, and yet they live? What means this? Have I not ordered their extermination?
Indeed thou hast, Caesar.
Well?
Licinius and thy servant have done all that was in their power, but...
But what? Our sacred person in danger and our orders not obeyed? Who dared hesitate when Caesar commands? Hey, come, I command thee.
Since thou dost command, thy servant must obey. Thy prefect, Marcus.
Marcus? No, Marcus. You have a care. If thou dost belittle Marcus, the best officer we have...
Licinius knows I speak the truth.
Marcus did stay my hand when, for the sake of thy sacred life, I did put one of these Christians, a boy...
Poppy! Ah, my lovely Poppy, thou dost come in time. Who hast thou with thee? Ah, Berenice, the fair Berenice. Poppy, here's treason, foul treason towards our sacred selves.
Treason? Who says this?
Tigellinus, with Licinius to support him, both to accuse Marcus.
Of treason?
Nay, Caesar.
What else but treason to Caesar if he protects those who plot against Caesar's life?
There has been some exaggeration here.
Ah, good.
I know the whole truth, Caesar. Berenice hath confided it to me. And I was even now about to seek thee and ask for thy authority to set the matter right. Possibly zeal for thy most sacred life hath induced Tigellinus and Licinius to overestimate the importance of Marcus's error.
Oh, what is it, eh? What hath he done?
Marcus is a man, and lacking thy constancy, great Caesar, is too easily caught by a pretty face. Of all these hosts of Christians that we hear of, he hath spared but one, and that one a mere girl, who for the moment hath caught his wayward fancy.
Oh, is that all? Only one girl, eh? Yes, yet even a girl.
May be dangerous. True, my love. And so it were wise in thee to give power to Tigellinus, to take this girl out of the hands of Marcus, and leave thee to deal with her thyself.
Yes, yes, of course, deal with her myself. Yes. Tigellinus, thou shalt have power. Oh, accursed be the whole race of Christians who seek our sacred life. I'll throw them to the beasts. I'll dress them in skins of wolves and set the bloodhounds on them. Oh, that will be sport. I'll soak them in oil and tallow and set them blazing. I'll light Rome with them. Come, Tigellinus, I'll write the mandate. Come, come. Oh, seek my life. I'll exterminate the vermin. I'll blot them from the earth.
Now thou hast thy desire, Berenice. Marcus will soon forget this girl once she is put out of his sight. Then Berenice shall have her wish. Nero shall command that Marcus wed thee when the Christian girl is dead.
Tell them, Glabrio, tell them the truth. Tell them Marcus has deserted his guests because they sicken him. Say, if you will, that a strange sickness has taken hold of Marcus. That the purity of one Christian girl makes their licentiousness repugnant to him. Go, Glabrio, tell them that.
Yes, Marcus, I'll tell them.
One Christian girl drives Marcus to insanity.
Excellence, the girl Mercia.
Leave us, Viturius.
Yes, Excellence.
Sir, thou didst send for me.
I sent for thee, sweet Mercia, to feast upon thy beauty, to hear the music of thy voice.
Wouldst thou do me a service?
You have but to name your wish.
Send me back to my fellow prisoners.
Ask anything but that.
That and their freedom is all I wish.
I cannot grant thee either.
Why? Thou art all-powerful.
I cannot give them freedom because the law is stronger than its officer. I cannot send thee back to them because my love for thee is stronger than my desire to serve thee. Let us be friends, lady.
With the good, friendship cannot exist without respect.
And thou hast no respect for me?
How can I respect a man who hath no respect for himself? No man respects himself who hath no respect for woman. For the teacher hath said that woman is the fount of all that is fine in a man.
I have met few such women, lady.
Women are too often what men desire them to be. What man desires that a woman other than his own kin should be good?
Good! Right, wrong, virtue, sin, what are they? The accidents of habits and conditions. A mass of contradictions surrounded by bedeviled human beings raking and scratching for that which is not there. Happiness. Happiness is a rare thing, lady. A very rare thing, and seldom comes when sought for. If it comes my way unsought, why should I reject it?
Happiness is seldom found because men seek it in pleasure. Pleasure and happiness are not always akin. Pleasure is of the world. True happiness comes from God.
What God, lady?
The only God, the everlasting.
Why didst thou become a Christian?
Why does the sun shine, the flowers bloom, the birds sing? Because he willed it.
Lady, we waste time arguing like two parchment-dried philosophers. We are young.
I fear thee. Let me go hence.
Nay, love is kind, soft and gentle. What hast thou to fear?
Beg thee.
Sorceress, witch, whatever thou art. Beautiful statue, cold, glittering star. Your icy chastity burns into my very heart.
Pray thee, let me go.
Not till I possess thee, body and soul.
You can never defile my soul. He who gave me that soul will keep it inviolate. Unto his mercy and into his hands I commit it.
No. No, into mine. No. Mercia, love me, and you shall be worshipped as never woman was. Marcus the proud, the tyrant, the master. Marcus is your slave. I kiss the hem of your garment.
No.
Love me, and I will load you with gold. Cover your beauty with rarest gems, but love me.
I beg you, have mercy.
Have thou mercy. I love thee, love thou me.
Art thou man or devil?
Devil or man, love me.
I faint.
Mercia. Suddenly thou art surrounded by a great white light.
The sign. The master is with me. He has spoken. The cross defends me.
I kneel before thee.
My puppy, here, the games in the circus for today. Oh, he is goodly sport indeed. Chariot and foot races, the gladiators, the Mask of Venus, and best sport of all, the lions and tigers and 200 Christians. Cygnus, taste my wine. The beasts, Tigellinus, they have been well starved.
Aye, Caesar. Rome hath never seen such beasts.
Good sport. When the sun goes down, we'll have the living Christian torches all around the amphitheatre at a distance of 20 paces. Put stakes under their chins that we may see their faces. Cygnus, does still live? Oh, the wine's not poisoned then. Give it to me. Tigellinus, the girl whom Marcus...
Arrested, Caesar, as you did command.
Good. Make a torch of her and place her near to Marcus's seat. They say she was cold to him. We'll see her afire tonight. What said he? What said Marcus?
He raved against Rome, the laws, and thee, great Caesar.
Did he dare?
Forgive him that, Caesar. This girl hath been snatched from his lips. He may rave, but he will be faithful.
Dost thou think so, hey, Pompey?
I do know it.
Well, I'm glad we cannot well afford to part with Marcus. But the girl, did she scream and plead for mercy?
No, Caesar. She was calm and said that she was ready.
Oh, strange the obstinacy of these fanatics. They die so calmly it robs the killing of them of half the joy. Well, what now?
The prefect Marcus would have audience of Caesar.
Eh? Oh, well, Pompey?
Admit him, Caesar.
We will see him. What wants he now? Well, Marcus.
Hail, Caesar. Hail, lady.
What wouldst thou, Marcus?
Mercy, great Caesar.
For who?
An innocent girl.
Mercy, the Christian?
Yes, Caesar, Mercy.
Oh, not innocent. She is accused.
By whom?
Well, by Tigellinus and others.
A jealous woman, Emperor, is not always a reliable witness.
Thou knowest, Marcus, she was captured at one of their secret meetings, caught in the very act...
Act of what, Tigellinus? Act of worship? Act of prayer and praise? What harm is there in these?
Their worship is a pretense, a cloak to hide their designs against Caesar's sacred life.
I am convinced that Caesar hath no more virtuous subjects in all his dominions than these Christians.
And thou hadst to fall in love with a Christian to gain that conviction? Eh, Marcus?
Yes, when one of Rome's fairest flowers awaits thee here, Berenice herself sitting at the right hand of our empress. Yes, and these Christians, Marcus, oh, they are gloomy, austere fanatics who worship a wretched Nazarene whom Pontius Pilate caused to be crucified between two thieves.
And testified he could find no evil in him.
I am Caesar Nero. I have power over life and death. I have decided this Mercia dies with the others.
Hear me, Caesar, hear me first. Around thy throne are many who serve for greed, not for love. The people groan beneath taxation. The army is restless.
By Jupiter, thou art going too far, Marcus.
Lady, I appeal to thee. Dost thou believe me faithful unto Caesar?
I know thou art faithful, Marcus.
The hour of darkness looms close to thee, Caesar, and to Rome. In that dread hour, at least one faithful hand to guard thee and protect thee even unto death will be thine. If thou wilt but grant me this maiden's life. Caesar, I have never asked of thee a boon before.
Poppaea?
No.
No, we cannot, Marcus. She is a Christian. She must die with the rest.
But Caesar, Christianity is not of itself a crime.
Marcus pleads strongly. Is it possible that he is to turn Christian too?
Lady, I am almost persuaded to follow, where I see such angels as Mercia lead.
Marcus, thou art very much in love indeed.
With all my soul, lady. Caesar, it is so small a thing for thee to give. Her life.
Really, Poppaea,
No.
No, we cannot, Marcus.
Thou canst! Caesar, this girl hath opened mine eyes. Christianity is not murder, treason, sin of any kind. It is love and peace, goodwill, self-sacrifice, and charity. Caesar, for my sake, for the sake of Rome, for the sake of thine own welfare, give me this girl's life.
Poppaea...
No. No man or woman can profess Christianity in Rome and live. The decree of Caesar hath gone forth.
Then she must die.
Let her publicly renounce her faith. Then she may live.
Oh, yes. Oh, then she may live.
And if she will not?
Oh, well, then let her die. Die this day. Caesar hath spoken. Come, my dear. Come, Tigellinus.
Marcus.
Art thou still here, Berenice? Art thou content?
With what?
With the evil thou hast brought. Mercia will not renounce her faith. She knows not fear. She must die this day.
When she is dead, thy senses will return to thee.
When Mercia is dead, then will Marcus die too.
Others will live, though Mercia be dead. Marcus, she was no mate for thee.
From the beginning of time, she was my mate. The better part of me that killed the worser part. Lifted my soul from evil and degradation, opened mine eyes to light and truth. Mercia is so much my mate, so much the very breath and soul of me, that when she dies, she will take with her the breath and soul whereby I live. If she must die.
Marcus! What, after all, have I done? Not parted them, united them, perhaps in death.
Mercia, I am afraid. Think, to die tonight, to leave this bright and beautiful world.
For one more bright, Stephanus, more beautiful, where there is no pain, no sorrow, neither persecution nor parting, where happiness is and purity and holiness evermore.
The pain.
Think of his agony who died for thee. Fix thine eyes on the cross when the hour doth come.
I have not thy courage.
My courage is not my own, it comes from him. Look to him, he will give thee strength.
Come, boy, you're next.
Mercia.
Stephanus, thou wilt not falter. Thou didst say that thou didst love me. If that be true, by all the love thou bearest me, by all the love I bear thee, by all the love the Master bears to all, be true.
Yes. He hath come to guide me as thou didst promise me. He is here beside me. Yonder I see the cross. I fear nothing now. He walks beside me.
Mercia,
What wouldst thou with me?
I come to save thee. I have knelt to Nero for thy pardon.
And will he grant it?
On one condition, that thou dost renounce this false worship.
It is not false. It is true and everlasting.
Nothing is everlasting. There is no afterlife. The end is here.
Art thou so sure, Marcus? Ask thyself if there are no inward monitors that silently teach thee there is a life to come.
All men have longings for a life to come, if it might be better than this.
It will be better than this, if this life be well lived.
Thou hast taught me that my life hath not been well lived. I knew not the shame of it till I met thee. Whence comes thy wondrous grace?
If I have any grace, it comes from him who died on Calvary's cross, that grace might come to all. I will gladly die for him who dies for me.
Mercia, I cannot let thee die. I love thee so.
Thou hast told me so before, and wouldst have slain my soul.
I was blind, but now thy purity hath cleansed me. Mercia, live, and be my wife.
Thy wife? Thy wife in very truth?
In very truth, my wife.
Marcus.
Thou wilt be my wife.
And renounce my faith?
That must be!
That can never be. Marcus, the world hath passed away from me, and as on the threshold of that other life all worldly thoughts are left behind, I have no shame in telling thee I love thee, Marcus. Have loved thee since first I saw thee, next to him.
And thou wilt live?
I will be true to him.
I cannot part from thee and live. Since first I saw thee, I have been sorely troubled. Strange yearnings of the spirit come to me in the silent watches of the night. I battle with them, but they will not yield. I tremble with strange, unearthly fears, strange thoughts, strange hopes. If thy faith be true, what is this world? A little tarrying place, a tiny bridge between two great eternities, that which we have traveled from and that towards which we go. Only to know. Mercia, teach me how to know, and teach me how to keep thee ever by my side.
Look to the cross and pray, help thou my unbelief.
But keep thee ever by my side.
Give up all that thou hast, and follow me.
Follow thee. But whither? Well, Tigellinus.
Prefect, the hour hath come. Caesar would know this girl's decision. Doth she renounce the Christ and live, or cling to him and die?
I cling to him and die. Farewell, Marcus.
Not farewell. I too am ready.
What?
Return to Caesar. Tell him Christ hath triumphed. Marcus too is a Christian. Come, my bride.
My bridegroom.
We go together.
And so ends the General Motors Hour production of The Sign of the Cross, written by Wilson Barrett and adapted for radio by Richard Lane, in which you heard the following players. As Fabius, Lou Vernon. Tigellinus, Max Osbiston. Berenice, Babs Mayhew. Stephanus, John Ewart. Servilius, Edward Heppel. Strabo, Lionel Stevens. Poppaea, Elaine Montgomery. Vittorius, Don Pasco. Nero, Stuart Ginn. Mercia, Coralie Neville. And as Marcus Superbus, you heard our star, Alistair Duncan. The General Motors Hour is directed by Harry Harper, who produced tonight's play. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, that next week we shall have another play in our series of the world's best plays. Now, this is John Deese saying goodnight to you all from the General Motors Hour, which now signs off from the Macquarie Network and cooperating stations throughout Australia. The General Motors Hour. General Motors Holdens, through the Macquarie Network and cooperating stations in all states, present The Winslow Boy, starring Robert Stewart. This is John Deese introducing our play. Recent events in Scotland and the British House of Commons, where the subject of doing justice to a Scottish boy who made accusations against the police became front-page news, make The Winslow Boy a very timely play. This famous piece by Terence Rattigan is founded on another similar case which occurred some 50 years ago, and makes the sort of strong drama which has made it a resounding success whenever and wherever it has been performed. Our General Motors Hour cast is headed by Robert Stewart as Arthur Winslow, with Diana Perryman, Ray Hartley, Winifred Green, Keith Buckley, Nellie Lamport, Don Pascoe, Derek Barnes, and Leonard Bullen. The play will be produced by Harry Harper. Ladies and gentlemen, Act 1 of the General Motors Hour production of The Winslow Boy.
Master Ronnie! Why, we weren't expecting you back from the Naval College till Tuesday.
Hello, Violet. I came back early.
On Sunday? My, your mother and father will be surprised.
Where are they?
Oh, church, of course. You do look nice in your uniform. Quite a little officer. Now, won't your parents and Master Dickie and Miss Catherine be surprised? I'd better go and get your room ready for you.
I think I'll go out into the garden for a bit. I'll come in when they get back.
Is anything wrong, Master Ronnie?
No. No, I'll just wait in the garden.
Glad to get home. My leg's not very good, Grace.
Sit down, Arthur, dear. Catherine, close the garden door.
Very well, Mother. There is rather a draught.
What a dreary sermon. Old Jackson's getting quite doddery.
Doddery though he may be, Dickie, I doubt if he failed in his past mods when he was at Oxford.
Father, you promised not to mention that again this vacation if I promised to do some study every night.
Dickie, dear, you really couldn't have done much work last night with that old gramophone of yours blaring.
I wish you were as good at your work as Ronnie, dear.
Oh, why no. He got into husband and I failed. That's going to be brought up again. Ronnie's the good little boy, I'm the bad little boy. You've stuck a couple of labels on us that nothing on earth is ever going to change.
Oh, don't be absurd, Dickie, dear.
It's not absurd, it's quite true. Isn't it, Katie?
If I were you, I'd go and have a nice little lie down before lunch.
Perhaps you're right. But it's true, just the same.
What are you reading, Catherine?
Lou Rogers' book, Memoirs of a Trades Union Leader.
Oh, dear. Does John know you're a radical and a suffragette?
Certainly.
And he still wants to marry you?
He seems to. He's coming early today to speak to Father. And, Father, dear, I warn you, if you forbid the match, I shall simply elope.
Oh, never fear, my dear. I'm far too delighted at the prospect of getting you off our hands at last. Though I must say you don't behave as if you were in love.
I don't think you modern girls have the feelings our generation did. It's this new woman attitude. Kate, darling, does Desmond know about you and John?
I haven't told him, but if he hasn't guessed, he must be very dense.
He is very dense.
I think he's a dear. Oh, that'll be John now. Quickly, Kate, come into the dining room.
All right, Mother.
Well, what on earth are you running away for?
We're leaving you alone with John. When you're finished, cough, and then we'll come in.
Mightn't that look a trifle coincidental?
Mr. Watherstone.
Morning, sir.
Ah, John. Forgive me not getting up. My arthritis has been troubling me lately. Sit down, won't you?
Thank you, sir.
I understand you want to marry my daughter.
Yes, sir. I proposed to her, and she's done me the honour of accepting. I love her very much, sir.
Yes, well, we'll take the sentimental side of the project for granted. As regards the more practical aspect, your income. You're able to live on it?
No, sir. I'm in the regular army. But my army pay is supplemented by my father. It adds up to a total of about £420 a year, sir.
Well, it all seems very satisfactory. I really don't think I need delay my congratulations any longer.
Thank you, sir.
And your frank answers to my questions deserve an equal frankness from me about Catherine's own affairs. I'm afraid she's not just in case you thought otherwise, I'm afraid she's not the daughter of a rich man.
I didn't think otherwise, sir.
Good. The Westminster Bank pay me a small pension, and my wife has about 200 a year of her own. So you see, I'm not in a position to be very lavish about Catherine's dowry.
No, sir, I quite see that.
However, I propose to settle on her 1/6 of my total capital. In round figures, say £850.
I call that very generous, sir.
Ah, well then, if you're agreed, I don't think there's anything more we need discuss. Oh, yes, of course. It's pretty rotten weather, eh? Beastly rain.
Yes, sir.
Why, John, you're here. How nice. Catherine, here's John.
Hello, John.
Hello, Catherine.
Well?
Well, what?
How did your little talk go?
I understood you weren't supposed to know we were having a little talk.
Oh, you're infuriating. Is it all right, John?
Yes, Mrs. Winslow.
Oh, I'm so glad. I really am. May I kiss you? After all, I'm practically your mother now.
Well, I, by the same token, am practically your father, but if you'll forgive me...
Certainly, sir.
Yes. Grace, I think we might allow ourselves a modest celebration. Will you come with me and find the key of the cellars?
Yes, dear, coming. I don't suppose you two will mind being left alone for a few moments, will you?
John, darling, was it an ordeal?
Phew, I was scared to death. Are you as scared of him as I am?
Dickie is, of course, and Ronnie, though he needn't be. Father worships him. I don't know about Mother being scared. Sometimes, perhaps. I'm not. Ever.
You're not scared of anything, are you, Kate?
Kate. Kate.
Ronnie, what on earth? Come in out of the rain.
Where's Father?
I'll go and tell him.
Oh, no, don't. Please, Kate, don't.
What's the trouble, darling? You can tell me.
Look, perhaps I'd better disappear.
In the dining room there, if you don't mind, John.
No, of course not.
Now, darling, tell me. Have you run away?
This letter.
It's addressed to Father. Ronnie, did you open it?
Read it.
Good heavens.
I didn't do it. Kate, really, I didn't.
No.
Couldn't we tear it up? We could tell Father term had ended 2 days sooner.
Ronnie, old lad. You back already? No trouble, is there?
Yes, Dickie. You stay here with him. I'll go and find Mother.
All right. What's up, old chap? Been sacked?
Yes. I didn't do it. Honestly, I didn't, Dickie.
That's all right, old chap. I believe you, though I don't know what it is they've sacked you for, yet.
Stealing.
Ha! Is that all? Good Lord, at school we used to pinch everything we could lay our hands on. All of us.
Here's Mother now, darling.
Ronnie, my baby.
I didn't do it, Mother.
No, darling, of course you didn't. We'll go upstairs and get you out of those nasty wet clothes.
Don't tell Father.
No, darling, not yet, I promise. Come along now. Your new uniform, too. What a shame.
I say, Kate, who's going to break the news to the old man?
Don't let's worry about that just now.
Well, count me out. I'm going to disappear. I don't want to be within 1,000 miles of that explosion.
John!
What is it? Bad news, darling.
John, how can people be so cruel to torture a child of that age?
What's he supposed to have done?
Stolen some money 10 days ago. Why didn't they let us know? Think what that poor little creature's been going through these last 10 days alone down there, knowing what he had to face at the end of it. Oh, how I'd love to have that commanding officer here for just 2 minutes.
How will your father take it?
It might kill him. Oh, heavens, that'll be Desmond. I'd forgotten he was coming to lunch, too.
Who?
Desmond Curry, our family solicitor. Darling, be nice to him. He doesn't know about us yet, and he's been in love with me for years. It's a family joke.
Mr. Curry.
Hello, Desmond. I don't think you know John Wotherstone.
No, I've heard a lot about him. How do you do?
How do you do?
I hear I'm to congratulate you both.
Desmond, you know?
Violet told me just now in the hall. Of course it was expected, I know.
Still, it was rather a surprise hearing it like that. I'm sure you'll be very happy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Desmond, dear.
Hello, Mrs. Winslow.
I've got him to bed, Katie.
Nobody ill, I hope?
No, nothing wrong at all.
Grace, those cellars are in a shocking condition. Oh, hello, Desmond. How are you? Not looking well.
I strained my shoulder, Mr. Winslow.
You will play those ridiculous games. Resign yourself to the onrush of middle age.
Oh, I could never give up cricket. Not altogether.
Are you related to D.W.H.?
I am D.W.H. Curry.
Didn't you know we had a great man in the room?
Good Lord. You used to be a schoolboy hero of mine. D.W.H. Curry in person. Gosh, I'd never have thought of it.
I know. Very few people would nowadays.
Now, where is Violet with that tray of drinks?
Drinking a toast to the
happy pair, I think, is the phrase that's eluding you, Desmond.
Matter of fact, I was looking for something new to say.
Oh, that's a forlorn quest, my dear Desmond. No one, with the possible exception of Voltaire, could find anything new to say about an engaged couple.
Engaged couple? Oh, is that all spliced up now? Kate definitely being entered for the marriage stakes. Oh, good egg.
I should have added, with the possible exception of Voltaire and Dickie Winslow. Ah, here's Violet with the drinks. That's right, Violet, one for each of us. Oh, and we mustn't leave you out of the toast.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Your surprise would be more convincing, Violet, if you hadn't brought that extra glass for yourself.
Oh, I brought that one for Master Ronnie, sir.
For Master Ronnie, Violet?
I thought you might allow him just a sip for the toast, sir. He's that grown up these days.
Master Ronnie won't be back from Osborne till Tuesday.
What's he back already, sir? Came this morning, all by himself.
Grace, what does this mean?
All right, Violet, you can go.
Yes, miss. Oh, I do hope I haven't... yes, miss.
You all knew Ronnie was back?
We thought it best you shouldn't know. Only for the time being, Arthur.
Well, will someone tell me what has happened, please?
He brought this letter for you, Arthur.
Read it to me.
Arthur, not in front
Read it to me, please.
Confidential. I am commanded by my Lords Commissioners of the Admiralty to inform you that they have received a communication from the commanding officer of the Royal Naval College at Osborne reporting the theft of a 5-shilling postal order at the college on the 7th instant, which was afterwards cashed at the post office. Investigation of the circumstances of the case leaves no other conclusion than that the postal order was taken by your son, Cadet Ronald Arthur Winslow. My lords deeply regret that they must therefore request you to withdraw your son from the college. It's signed by someone. I can't quite read the name.
Catherine, will you ask Ronnie to come here and see me, please?
Yes, Father, very well.
And perhaps the rest of you will go into luncheon.
Arthur, don't you think...
Will you go in, Desmond? And John?
This way. It's getting cold. Right, certainly.
Arthur...
Yes, Grace.
Please don't forget he's only a child.
Deeply regret. Request you to withdraw your son.
Father?
Come in. Come over here. Why aren't you in your uniform?
It got wet.
How did it get wet?
I was out in the garden in the rain.
Why?
I was hiding.
From me? Are you so frightened of me? This letter says you stole a postal order. Now, I don't want you to say a word until you hear what I've got to say. If you did it, you must tell me. Shan't be angry with you, Ronnie, provided you tell me the truth. But if you tell me a lie, I shall know it, because a lie between you and me can't be hidden. I shall know it, Ronnie, so remember that before you speak. Did you steal the postal order?
No, Father, I didn't.
Go on back to bed, son.
Yes, Father.
Oh, and in future, I trust that a son of mine will at least show enough sense to come in out of the rain.
Yes, Father.
Hello? I want to put a trunk call through, please. A trunk call, yes. The Royal Naval College, Osborne.
And listen, Dickie. Another letter to the editor in the Evening Star.
What's it say, Katie?
Sir, I agree that it is scandalous that the efforts of Mr. Arthur Winslow to secure a fair trial for his son over the past 9 months have been thwarted at every turn by a soulless oligarchy.
Soulless oligarchy? Well, that's rather good.
It is high time that the private and peaceful citizens of this country awoke to the increasing encroachment of their ancient freedom by the new despotism of Whitehall. And here's another from Perplexed.
Go ahead.
Surely we have more important matters to get worked up about than a 14-year-old boy and a 5-shilling postal order. The Admiralty might be forgiven if it stated that it had rather more urgent affairs to deal with than Master Ronald Winslow's little troubles. A further inquiry before the Judge Advocate of the Fleet has now fully confirmed the original findings that the boy was guilty. I sincerely trust that this will finally end this ridiculous and sordid little storm in a teacup.
It sounds awful, Katie, but if he hadn't been my own brother, I think I might have seen his point. Oh, well. I say, are you going out with John tonight?
Yes, I suppose so.
Well, nothing wrong, is there? Not going to be left at the altar rails or anything, are you?
Not as bad as that, Dickie. Just an occasional difference of opinion.
Take a spot of advice. Suppress your opinions. Men don't like 'em in their lady friends, even if they agree with them. And if they don't, it's fatal.
Yes, studying hard, I see, Dickie.
Oh, it was my fault, Father. I enticed him from his work to talk.
Oh, well, I'm not surprised you succeeded.
What did the doctor say, Father?
He said, if I remember his exact words, that we weren't quite as well as when we last saw each other. That information seems expensive at a guinea. Oh, yes, by the way, I'm expecting Sir Robert Morton at any moment.
Sir Robert Morton? Oh, goodness, I must go and do something about my hair.
Dickie, what do you suppose one of your bookmaker friends would lay as odds against your getting your degree?
Well, perhaps 7-4 against? Well, you're not thinking of having a bet, are you?
No, Dickie, I'm not a gambler. That's exactly the trouble. Unhappily, I'm no longer in a position to gamble £200 a year on what you yourself admit is an outside chance.
You want me to leave Oxford? It's the case, I suppose.
Yes. It's costing me a lot of money. I'm afraid this is rather a shock for you. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, it isn't really. I've been rather expecting it, as a matter of fact, especially since I've heard you're hoping to brief Sir Robert Morton. Still, I can't say but what it isn't a bit of a slap in the face.
Hello? Yes, this is he. Oh, the Daily News. Just hold the line a moment, will you?
It's all right, Father. I'll go upstairs and see you later.
Oh, Dickie. I must thank you, Dickie, for bearing what must have been a very unpleasant blow with some fortitude.
Oh, rot, Father.
Hello, are you still there? Sir Robert Morton. Yes, it is true. I'm hoping he will take the case. I understand he's the best advocate in the country. He's certainly the most expensive. Well, certainly I'm continuing the case, no matter what happens. You may recall that when my solicitors first took the matter up with the Admiralty and demanded a full inquiry, we were ignored for weeks and then given a blank refusal. It was only after tremendous pressure was brought to bear that the Admiralty agreed to what they call an independent inquiry. But at that inquiry, my son, a child of 14, was not represented by counsel, solicitors, or friends. Inevitably, he was found guilty again, and thus branded a second time before the world as a thief and a forger. And you ask, am I still going on with the case? I shall continue to fight this monstrous injustice with every weapon and every means at my disposal. Not at all. Good day. Am I still going on? Ugh.
Are you talking to yourself, Arthur, dear?
Huh. Grace, I didn't hear you come in.
Yes, Ronnie, dear. He's just arrived.
Hello, Father. Mr. Moore says I'm to tell you I needn't go back to school until Monday, if you like. So that gives me 3 whole days.
I've had your half-term report, Ronnie.
Have you?
On the whole, it was pretty fair.
Good.
Well, you better go upstairs and get washed. Sir Robert will be here in a few minutes.
All right, Father. Oh, I say, do you know how long the train took? 123 miles in 2 hours and 52 minutes. Ooh, that is travelling. Oh, Violet! Violet! I'm back! Where are you, Violet? Violet!
Did the doctor say anything, dear?
A great deal. Very little to the purpose.
Violet says he left an ointment to massage your back.
All the good that'll do.
Now, Arthur, dear, it's silly to spend all this money on doctors if you're not even going to do what they say.
All right, Grace, all right, all right.
Ronnie's back, judging by the noise.
Yes, dear. I must go and see that he washes properly behind his ears.
Oh, Kate. Are we both mad, you and I?
What's the matter, Father?
I don't know. I suddenly feel suicidally inclined. The press has been on to me again. Even they think we're crazy to go on. Shall we drop the whole thing, Kate?
I don't consider that a serious question, Father.
You realize that if we do go on, your marriage settlement must go.
Oh, yes. I gave that up for last weeks ago.
And will it make any difference to you and John?
Good heavens, no.
Then let us pin our faith to Sir Robert Morton and hope that he will accept the brief.
You can pin your faith to him, Father. You know how I feel about him.
But everybody says he's the best man.
Very fine, if one happens to be a large monopoly attacking a trade union or a Tory paper libeling a Labour leader. But it utterly defeats me how you or anyone else could expect a man of his record to have a tenth of his heart in a case where the boot is entirely on the other foot.
Kate, you're my only ally. Without you, I believe I should have given up long ago. Still, you must sometimes allow me to make my own decisions. I have an instinct about Morton.
Arthur, if you'll come upstairs, I'll massage your back.
Infernal doctors and their orders. Coming, Grace, coming. We'll see which is right, eh, Kate? My instinct or your reason?
I'm afraid we will.
And now Act 2 of the General Motors Hour production of The Winslow Boy.
Sir Robert Morton and Mr. Curry.
Why, Sir Robert, I'm Catherine Winslow. Won't you sit down? My father won't be long.
Thank you.
I'm afraid Sir Robert can only spare us a very few minutes of his valuable time this evening. It's very good of him to come at all, if I may say so.
I know. I can assure you we're very conscious of it.
Yes. Perhaps I'd better advise your father of our presence.
Yes, do, Desmond. You'll find him having his back rubbed.
I see. In his bedroom, I presume?
I suppose you know the history of this case, Sir Robert.
I believe I've seen most of the relevant documents.
I'm surprised that a case of this sort should interest you.
Are you?
It sounds such a trivial affair compared to most of your great forensic triumphs. I was in court during your cross-examination of Lou Rogers in the trades union embezzlement case.
Really?
It was masterly.
Thank you.
I suppose you heard that he committed suicide a few months ago.
Yes, I had heard.
Many people believed him innocent, you know.
Yes, I understand. As it happens, however, he was guilty.
Sir Robert, I am Arthur Winslow, and this is my wife.
How do you do?
How do you do?
I understand from Mr. Curry that you're rather pressed for time.
Sir Robert is dining at Devonshire House.
Oh, I see. Well, my son shall be down in a moment. I expect you will wish to examine him.
Just a few questions. I fear that's all I'll have time for this evening.
I'm sorry to hear that. He's made the journey from school especially. Perhaps a fuller examination tomorrow might be arranged.
Tomorrow is impossible. I'm in court all the morning and in the House of Commons for the rest of the day. If a further examination should prove necessary, it will have to be sometime next week.
I see. Curry says you think it might be possible to proceed by petition of right.
What's a petition of right?
A subject can sue the Crown by petition of right, redress being granted as a matter of grace, and the custom is for the Attorney General, on behalf of the King, to endorse the petition and allow the case to come into court.
It's interesting to note that the exact words he uses on such occasions are, "Let right be done."
Father.
Ah, this is my son, Ronald. Ronnie, this is Sir Robert Morton.
How do you do, sir?
He's going to ask you a few questions. You must answer them all truthfully, as you always have. I expect you'd like us to leave, Sir Robert.
No, provided, of course, that you don't interrupt. Now, Ronald, I'd like you to cast your mind back to July the 7th of last year. Will you tell me in your own words exactly what happened on that day?
Well, it was a half-holiday, so we didn't have any work after dinner. And just before dinner, I went to the chief petty officer and asked him to let me have 15 6 out of what I had in the school bank.
Why did you do that?
I wanted to buy an air pistol.
Which cost 15 6?
Yes, sir.
After you'd withdrawn the 15 6, what did you do?
I had dinner and then went to the locker room and put the 15 6 in my locker.
Yes, then?
I went to get permission to go down to the post office. Then I went to the locker room again, got out my money, and went down to the post office.
I see. Go on.
I bought my postal order.
For 15 6?
Yes. And then I went back to the college. Then I met Elliot Miner, and he said, "I say, isn't it rot? Someone's broken into my locker and pinched a postal order. I've reported it to the P.O.
Those were Elliot Miner's exact words?
He might have used another word for rot.
I see. Continue.
Well, then, just before prep, I was told to go along to see Commander Flower. The woman from the post office was there, and the commander said, "Is this the boy?" And she said, "It might be. I can't be sure. They all look so much alike."
You see, she couldn't identify him.
Please. Go on.
Then she said, "I only know that the boy who bought the postal order for 15 6 was the same boy that cashed the 5 shillings. So the commander said, "Did you buy a postal order for 15 6? And I said yes. Then they made me write Elliot Miner's name on an envelope and compared it to the signature on the postal order. Then they sent me to the sanatorium, and 10 days later I was sacked. Expelled."
I see. Did you cash a postal order belonging to Elliot Miner for 5 shillings?
No, sir.
Did you break into his locker and steal it?
No, sir.
When the commander asked you to write Elliot's name, how did you write it? Christian name or initials?
I wrote Charles K. Elliot.
What made you choose that particular form?
That was the way he usually signed his name.
How did you know?
I'd seen him sign things.
Did he know you saw him?
Well, yes.
In other words, he showed you how he wrote his signature.
Yes, I suppose he did.
Did you practice writing it yourself?
I might have done.
What do you mean, you might have done? Did you or did you not?
Yes.
Ronnie, you didn't tell
You
me
practiced forging Elliot's signature.
It wasn't forging.
What did you call it then?
Writing.
Very well. Writing. Whoever stole the postal order and cashed it also wrote Elliot's signature, didn't he?
Yes.
And oddly enough, in the exact form in which you earlier had been practicing writing his signature.
I say, which side are you on?
Don't be impertinent. Are you aware that the greatest handwriting expert in England has stated that the signature on the postal note and the one on the envelope were by one and the same hand?
Yes.
And you still say you didn't forge that signature?
Yes, I do.
When you went to the locker room after dinner, were you alone?
Yes, of course.
The money would have been perfectly safe in your pocket. Why did you suddenly feel yourself impelled to put it away in your locker?
I don't know.
Was it because you knew you'd be alone in the locker room at the time?
No.
What time did Elliot put his postal order in his locker?
I don't know. I didn't even know he had a postal order at all. He didn't tell me about it.
How long were you in the locker room?
About 5 minutes.
What did you do then, before you went to the post office?
I don't remember.
It's odd that your memory is so good about some things and so bad about others. You were still in the locker room rifling Elliot's locker, weren't you?
Sir Robert, I must ask
Quiet!
you to...
I remember now. I was talking to a chap named Casey.
What did you say to him?
I said, "Come down to the post office with me. I'm going to cash a postal order."
Cash a postal order?
I mean get.
You said cash. Why did you say cash if you meant get?
I don't know.
I suggest cash was the truth.
No, it wasn't. You're muddling me.
You seem easily muddled. How many other lies have you told?
None really I haven't.
I suggest your whole testimony is a lie.
No, it's the truth.
I suggest there's barely one single word of truth in anything you've said. I suggest that you broke into Elliot's locker, that you stole the postal order for 5 shillings belonging to Elliot, and that you cashed it by means of forging his name.
I didn't!
I suggest you did it for a joke, meaning to give Elliot the 5 shillings back, but that when you met him, and he said he'd reported the matter, you got frightened and decided to keep quiet.
No, it isn't true.
I suggest that by continuing to deny your guilt, you're causing great hardship to your own family and considerable annoyance to high and important persons in this country.
That's a disgraceful thing to say.
I agree.
I suggest that the time has come for you to undo some of the misery you've caused by confessing to us all now that you're a forger, a liar, and a thief.
I'm not. I didn't do it.
Darling, of course you did.
This is outrageous.
How dare you say that?
7:30. I must be going. Can I drop you somewhere, Mr. Curry? My car's at the door.
No, I thank you.
Well, send all this stuff around to my chambers tomorrow morning, will you?
But will you need it now?
Oh, yes. The boy is plainly innocent. I accept the brief.
Cadet Ronald Winslow is a servant of the Crown, and has therefore no more right than any other member of His Majesty's forces to sue the Crown in open court. To allow him to do so would undoubtedly raise the precedent. In certain cases, private rights have to be sacrificed for the public good. Ronnie, I trust my reading to you isn't keeping you awake.
Oh, really, Grace?
My poor sleepy little lamb. It's long past his bedtime, Arthur. I'd better take him upstairs.
No. At this moment, your poor sleepy little lamb is the subject of a very violent and heated debate in the House of Commons. Until it's ended, the cause of it all will not make himself comfortable in his little bed. Grace, did you speak to Violet today?
I'll do it sometime, Arthur.
Delaying it only adds to your worries. You explained the dilemma carefully, show her the figures I jotted down for you. I don't think you'll find her unreasonable.
It won't be easy for her to find another place.
We'll give her excellent references.
I don't care what references she gets or how many figures she's shown. It's a brutal thing to do.
Facts are brutal things.
Facts? I don't think I know what facts are anymore.
Facts at this moment are that we have half the income we had a year ago, and we're living at the same rate.
I brought you some sandwiches, sir. Oh, is Master Ronnie asleep?
Yes.
There was a bit in the evening news. Did you read it, sir?
No, what did it say?
Oh, how it was a fuss about nothing and a shocking waste of the government's time, but how it was a good thing all the same because it could only happen in England. Will that be all, sir?
Yes, Violet, that will be all.
Very well, sir. Oh, good evening, miss.
Good evening, Violet. Hello, Father.
Back from the house already. Is the debate over?
As good as. It'll end exactly where it started.
They still refuse us a trial. Didn't Sir Robert make any protest?
Not a verbal protest. Something far more spectacular and dramatic. He'd had his feet on the Treasury table and his hat over his eyes during most of the First Lord's speech, and he suddenly got up very deliberately, glared at the First Lord, threw a whole bundle of notes on the floor, and stalked out of the house. It made a magnificent effect. If I hadn't known, I could have sworn he was genuinely indignant.
Of course he was. Any man of feeling would be.
Sir Robert, Father dear, is not a man of feeling. Don't fool yourself about him. He's a fish. A hard, cold-blooded, supercilious, sneering fish is Sir Robert Morton.
Sir Robert Morton.
Oh, good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
I thought I'd call and give you an account of the day's proceedings. But I see your daughters forestalled me. Ah, the casus belli is dormant, I see.
I'll wake him. Ronnie.
Oh, no. Please don't disturb his innocent slumbers.
Innocent slumbers?
Exactly.
My daughter told me of your demonstration during the First Lord's speech. She described it as magnificent.
Did she? It's a very old trick, you know. I nearly always find it surprisingly effective.
You mean you... Oh, Catherine, this letter on the table, when did it come?
This afternoon. I know the writing. I shouldn't bother to read it if I were you.
It may be important. Will you forgive me, Sir Robert?
Of course.
Good heavens.
Not bad news, I hope?
Father, while Sir Robert is here, we should decide what's the next to be done about the case.
The case? Sir Robert, And I'm afraid I don't think much purpose will be served by going on with the case now.
What? Of course we must go on.
I have made many sacrifices for this case. Some of them I had no right to make, but I made them just the same. But there is a limit, and I've reached it. I'm sorry, Sir Robert. More sorry, perhaps, than you are. But the Winslow case is now closed.
Balderdash.
My father doesn't mean what he says, Sir Robert.
Kate, give me back that letter.
This letter, Sir Robert, is from a Colonel Watherstone, the father of the man I'm engaged to. He says our efforts to discredit the Admiralty in the House of Commons today have made the name of Winslow a nationwide laughingstock. That unless we drop this whining and reckless agitation, I suppose he means the case, he will exert every bit of influence he has over his son to prevent him marrying.
Excuse me a moment. Hello? Yes, one moment, please. It's for you, Sir Robert.
Oh, thank you. Hello? Oh, yes, Michael. F.E.? I didn't know he was going to speak. I see. Oh, go on. Yes, yes. Mm-hmm. Indeed. I follow you. Thank you, Michael. Good night. There's been a most interesting development in the house since I walked out.
Oh, what?
My secretary tells me that a barrister friend of mine, who, quite unknown to me, was interested in the case, got on his feet shortly before 9:30 and delivered one of the most scathing denunciations of a government department ever heard in the House.
Yes?
The debate revived, of course, and the First Lord, who must have felt himself fairly safe, certainly found himself under attack from all parts of the House. It appears that, rather than risk a division, he has, at this moment, given an undertaking that he'll instruct the Attorney General to endorse our petition of right. The case of Winslow versus Rex can now, therefore, come to court. Well, sir, what are my instructions?
The decision is no longer mine, sir. You must ask my daughter.
What are my instructions, Miss Winslow?
Do you need instructions, Sir Robert? Aren't they already on the petition? Doesn't it say, let right be done?
Well, then, we must endeavour to see that it is.
Dickie, I didn't know you'd arrived from Reading yet.
Hello, Mother. Well, I had to be here to hear the verdict. Where's Kate?
At the trial. She takes the morning session, then comes home to nurse your father while I go to the court in the afternoon. You never saw such crowds in all your life. Cheers and applause and people being turned out. And Sir Robert and the Attorney General going at each other hammer and tongs.
How did Ronnie get on in the witness box?
2 whole days he was cross-examined. Imagine the poor little pet. Kate says he made a very good impression with the jury.
How is Kate?
You heard about John breaking off the engagement.
That's what I meant. How's she taken it?
You can never tell with Kate. She never lets you know what she's feeling.
Ah, Dickie, you're back.
Father, I didn't know you were in a wheelchair.
Oh, I've been forced to adopt this ludicrous form of propulsion. I had a letter from Mr. Lamb at the bank at Reading. He says you've joined the Territorials.
Well, from all accounts, there's a fair chance of a scrap quite soon, and if there is, I don't want it to be all over before I can get into it.
Oh, Dickie.
You're a good lad, Dickie.
All right. I say I'm starving.
Violet will be back to serve lunch quite soon.
Violet? She was under sentence last time I was at home.
She's been under sentence for the last 6 months, only she doesn't know it. Neither your father nor I have the courage to tell her.
Well, I have the courage to tell her.
It's funny you don't then, dear.
Well, I will as soon as she comes in. But at the moment, I'm going out to sit in the sun in the garden.
He looks awfully sick.
The doctors insist he goes to a nursing home when the trial's over.
Do you think he will?
How do I know? He'll probably find some new excuse.
But surely if he doesn't get a verdict this time, he's lost for good?
So they say, Dickie. I can only hope it's true.
Poor old mother. You've had a rotten time of it.
I've said my say, Dickie. He knows what I think. Not that he cares. He never has all his life. Anyway, I've given up worrying. He's always said he knew what he was doing. It's my job to pick up the pieces, I suppose.
Lord, the heat in that court. Hello, Dickie. Come to be in at the death?
Is that what it's going to be?
Looks like it. Sir Robert's very worried. He said the Attorney General's speech made a great impression on the jury.
Is that you, Kate? Oh, you're so late. How did it go this morning, eh?
Sir Robert finished his cross-examination of the postmistress. She admitted she couldn't identify Ronnie in the commander's office, that she couldn't be sure what time he came in, that she'd been called to the telephone while he was buying his postal order, and that all cadets looked alike to her in their uniforms, so it might easily have been another cadet who cashed the 5-shilling order. Oh, it was brilliant. He just coaxed her into tying herself in knots.
Good, good.
But when he'd finished, the Attorney General asked her again whether she was absolutely positive that the same boy who bought the 15 and 6-penny postal order also cashed the 5-shilling one. She said she was quite sure because Ronnie was such a good-looking little boy that she'd specially noticed him. I believe it undid the whole of that magnificent cross-examination.
Ronnie, good-looking? Rot. She must be lying.
Nonsense, Dickie. He looked so nice in the box yesterday, didn't he, Kate?
Yes, Mother. You're going to be very late for the resumption.
Oh, dear. Arthur, you'll eat up all your lunch, won't you? I wonder if Violet will remember to pick up those onions. Perhaps I'd better do it on the way back from the court. Come along, Dickie, and when you get to the door, put your head down, like me, and just charge through the crowd and the reporters.
Righto, Mother. Come along.
I always shout, I'm the maid and I don't know nothing, so don't be surprised.
Kate, tell me honestly, what does Sir Robert think of our chances now?
He seems very worried.
Yes. The papers say he told the judge this morning he felt ill and might have to ask for an adjournment.
Another of those tricks of his. It got him sympathy and possibly an excuse if he's beaten.
May I come in?
Desmond, come in. Thought you were in court.
My partner's holding the fort. I wonder if I might see Catherine alone, sir. I have a matter of some urgency to communicate to her.
I see. I'll go back to the garden.
Is anything wrong, Desmond?
It suddenly occurred to me during the lunch recess that I might see you today.
Why?
I have a question to put to you, Kate, which, if I had postponed putting it until after the verdict, you might have thought it prompted by pity if we had lost. Do you follow me, Kate?
Yes, Desmond, I think I do.
Then you have some inkling what the question is?
Yes, Desmond. I'm sorry. I should have told you that I have no inkling whatever.
No. Your directness and honesty are two of the qualities I so much admire in you.
Will you give me a few days to think it over?
But of course, Kate. I know your feeling towards me have never amounted to more than a sort of, well, shall we say friendliness? A warm friendliness, I hope. That's true, isn't it?
Yes, Desmond.
You don't love me and never can. I love you. Always have. Always will. It is a situation which I'm fully prepared to accept. No matter what you feel or don't feel for me, no matter what you feel for someone else. I want you to be my wife.
Thank you, Desmond.
May I expect your answer in a few days?
Yes.
Thank you. Well, it's late and I must get back to court. Brilliant cross-examination this morning, wasn't it?
Brilliant.
He's a strange man, Sir Robert. Time so cold and distant, yet he has a real passion about this case. I happen to know, and of course this must go no further, but I happen to know he made a very great personal sacrifice in order to bring it into court.
Sacrifice? What of? Another brief?
Oh, no. Something far more than that. Something quite startling. The appointment of Lord Chief Justice.
Lord Chief Justice?
He turned it down simply to be able to carry on with the case of Winslow versus Rex. Strange are the ways of men, are they not? Goodbye, my dear.
Goodbye, Desmond. Lord Chief Justice. Oh, I've been a fool.
Desmond gone? May I come in now?
Yes, Father.
Oh, what did Desmond want?
To marry me. I said I'd think it over.
Think it over by all means, but decide against it.
The choice is quite simple. Either I marry Desmond and settle down to a quite comfortable and not really useless existence, Or I go on working for the rest of my life in the Women's Suffrage Association, earning £2 a week in the service of a hopeless cause.
A hopeless cause? Never heard you say that before.
I've never felt it before. Suddenly this... And today I heard that John was married last week.
Oh, poor Kate. How I've messed up your life, haven't I? I'm so sorry, Kate. So sorry.
Don't be, Father. We both knew what we were doing. We were right to do it.
Were we? Or was it just brute stubbornness, a refusal to admit defeat?
Sir. Oh, sir.
Violet back from the court. What happened?
Oh, Miss Kate, what a shame you missed it. Just after they came back from luncheon, Mrs. Winslow, she wasn't there, nor Master Ronnie. The cheering and the shouting and the carrying on, you never heard anything like it. And Sir Robert standing there with his wig on crooked and tears running down his face. Running down his face they were, and not able to speak because of the noise. Cook and me did a bit of crying too. We just couldn't help it. Oh, it was lovely. And then Cook had her hat napped off by the man behind, cheering and waving his arms about something chronic and shouting about liberty. And outside in the street it was just the same. Some of them shouting, "Good old Winslow," and singing, "For he's a jolly good fellow." And Cook had her hat knocked off again. Oh, it was lovely. Oh, dear. Oh, Mrs. Winslow asked me most particular to pick up some onions, but
That's all right, Violet. I think she'll pick them up herself. Perhaps you'd make us some tea.
Oh, of course. I expect you can both do with a cup now that it's all over. Congratulations, sir, I'm sure.
Thank you, Violet. It would appear then that we've won.
Yes, Father. It would appear that we've won.
I would have liked to have been there.
Sir Robert Morton.
Oh, Sir Robert.
Good afternoon. I thought you might like to hear the actual terms of the Attorney General's statement, so I jotted it down for you. Here it is. I say now, on behalf of the Admiralty, that I accept the declaration of Ronald Arthur Winslow that he did not write his name on the postal order, that he did not take it, and that he did not cash it, and that consequently he was innocent of the charge brought against him 2 years ago. I make that statement without any reservation, intending it to be a complete acceptance of the boy's statements. Now, Mr. Winslow, in the question of damages and costs to you...
No, please. No more trouble. This paper is all I have ever asked for.
Oh, sir, the papers are at the door, and the gentlemen say, "Will you please make a statement?"
Very well, Violet. Tell them I'm coming.
Yes, sir.
Well, what shall I say, Kate?
You'll think of something.
Yes, I could say, this victory is not mine. It is the people who have triumphed, as they always will triumph over despotism. Well, how does that strike you, son? A trifle pretentious, perhaps?
I should say it nonetheless. It will be very popular.
Perhaps I'd better say simply what I feel. Thank God we beat him.
Sir Robert, this is probably the last time I shall see you, and I must say something. I have entirely misjudged your attitude in this case, and if in doing so I've ever seemed rude or ungrateful, I am sincerely and humbly sorry.
My dear Miss Winslow, you've never seemed so. And my attitude in this case has been the same as yours. A determination to win at all costs. Only when you talk of gratitude, you must remember those costs were not mine, but yours.
Haven't you, too, made a certain sacrifice for the case?
The robes of that office would not have suited me. If you chance to endow an unimportant incident with a romantic significance, you're perfectly at liberty to do so. Now I must go.
Why are you always at such pains to prevent people knowing the truth about you? Why be ashamed of your emotions?
Because I distrust them. To fight a case on emotional grounds is the surest way to lose it. Cold, clear logic should be a lawyer's only equipment.
Was it cold, clear logic that made you weep today at the verdict?
I wept today because right had been done.
Not justice?
No, not justice. Right. It's easy to do justice. Very hard to do right. Unfortunately, while the appeal of justice is intellectual, the appeal of right appears for some odd reason to induce tears in court. Now, may I leave the witness box? You'd make a very good advocate. Why don't you direct your feministic impulses towards the law courts, Miss Winslow, and abandon the lost cause of women's suffrage?
Because I don't believe it is a lost cause.
A pity. In the House of Commons in days to come, I shall make a point of looking up at the gallery in the hope of catching a glimpse of you in that provocative hat.
I say, Sir Robert.
Ronnie.
I'm awfully sorry, sir. I didn't know anything was going to happen.
Where were you?
At the pictures. I say, we won, didn't we?
Yes, we won. Goodbye, Miss Winslow. Shall I see you in the House then one day?
Yes, Sir Robert, one day. But not in the gallery. Across the floor.
Perhaps. Goodbye.
And so ends the General Murtaugh production of The Winslow Boy, written by Terence Rattigan and adapted for radio by Rue Pullen, in which you heard the following players. As Wotherston, Derek Barnes. Violet, Nellie Lamport. Dickie, Keith Buckley. Desmond Curry, Don Pascoe. Ronnie, Ray Hartley. Grace, Winifred Green. Catherine, Diana Perryman. As Sir Robert Morton, Leonard Bullen. And as Arthur Winslow, you heard our star, Robert Stewart. The General Murtaugh is directed by Harry Harper, who produced tonight's play. Until then, this is John Deese saying good night to you all from the General Murtaugh, which now signs off from the Macquarie Network and cooperating stations throughout Australia.